I'll make a motion to seat Liz Faria.
Second?
Aye.
All right. Are these folks coming later? Did they indicate that they
Said they were coming.
were coming at a particular time, or our other hearings?
I would just start with resilience and
Yeah.
see if they show up.
Okay.
He said he'd be here.
Yeah, he
Okay.
did. I talked with him earlier today, so.
All right. So we're continuing our discussion about changes to our housing ordinances to come up to date with current state law and make some adjustments. And I think hopefully everybody had a chance to look at the last version and came with comments, because we need to finalize, final draft that we can use for public hearings, and, because we'll still have some time and input and adjustments, but we need to wrap it up this stage. I think one of the first things that we talked about doing is narrowing down what we think we want to present in March. So we have ADU, cluster, multifamily, and workforce. I think we have to do ADU, we have to do multifamily, we have to do workforce, although I have a question about how we might roll things together.
Okay.
But maybe set aside cluster for now. That's a question for the board. Your thoughts?
Absolutely. I thought we discussed that.
Yeah. Okay. Too much, yeah. Okay. Should we go through them one by one, or is there
That would
anything
be
you wanted to
helpful.
open up with?
No, I think it looks like Mark has the ADU one up. I think if we could go through them one by one, anyone could make edits or ask questions. We'd like to give you a cleaned up track changes version. One thing we didn't do that we said we'd do before we sent it to Mark, and it's my bad, was make sure there was a draft watermark on all of them, so we'll make sure we do that. And then once we know the changes, the draft changes you're bringing forward, we can create an updated cover sheet, like the profile sheet you had for the forum, that highlight things like whatever the density is we're going to be suggesting. So there's kind of a synopsis for the average person who wants to come to a hearing in November or December, whenever you start.
Yeah,
So
maybe
be
we
able to
can,
get an overview.
maybe we can incorporate that into some of our Brentwood newsletter.
Exactly. Yeah. And so,
Submissions.
and since we last met, and you did suggest that we do the newsletter articles, we got the ADU one in. Crystal's starting to work on the multifamily article for the middle of this month, and then we'll work on workforce housing.
Okay,
So I think that sequence will continue to roll out.
sounds good.
All right?
Okay. Does anybody have questions or changes to the ADU ordinance?
Nothing jumped out at me.
So I had a question about the definition of detached.
Yes. On the second page?
Yes. A unit that is neither within nor physically connected to the principal dwelling unit nor completely contained within a pre-existing detached structure. But can it be a pre-existing detached structure that's converted to?
Yeah, it can. So let me check on that. I don't know why they included it that way.
Yeah, that's the state legislation defines it as that,
Yeah.
oddly enough.
That is odd.
Yeah.
It is odd, but it is actually state language.
Yeah, and it says within a pre-existing.
Nor completely contained.
Detached structure.
So does that mean if you wanted to convert a barn to a detached structure, you'd have to add something to
If it's
it?
No, you
pre-existing.
shouldn't have to. I mean, the intent of the legislation
Yeah.
was if you had a barn or a garage, you could.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I recall pretty distinctly, at least based on like the legislative debate. I can't imagine that the intent was anything other than that.
Yeah.
Because the legislators were pretty explicit about that.
Pre-existing structure is a pre-existing.
Yeah, I can
Right.
check on that and we can amend it.
Okay, thank you.
What's the difference, I'm sorry, what's the difference between The red is the changes, right? What's the green?
So I believe we did 2 rounds of changes behind the scenes before I gave it to you. So
Okay.
the red was like a first pass, and the
Okay.
green was a second pass. Mark, were some of them yours, maybe? Did you do any changes?
No,
Okay.
I didn't edit the document at all.
Okay, so it was just internally for us then.
Okay.
When we did it. We can go through and make sure they're all the same color when we have a final version, so it doesn't raise any questions like that. I think that's fair.
Too, even if that is the state language for detached unit, we could be more expansive than the state
Correct.
language.
Right, yeah, that's true. We can't be more restrictive, but we can be more expansive.
That's a good point.
Yeah, to Kristen's point, you could have something, the next sentence say specifically that, I don't know how you'd change it, or say more than the pre-existing structure, but some people may have that question.
I mean, you
It
could,
be anything. Yeah,
yeah, I mean, you could, as a board, allow a larger than 950 square feet if you so desire. You just have to incorporate that language in.
Correct.
Yeah, you just can't make it smaller than 750.
In Kingston, they're much larger.
Yeah, and that's something you may consider this evening.
What are they?
50% of the gross living area. So sometimes they're 1,500 square
huge.
feet. Yeah, yeah. they're-
Like if you have a mansion or something.
So we have
right?
that restriction now, right? A certain, it can only be
It's
a
a
third.
third. A third.
Are we keeping that? Have we-
Well, that's what we're
we're talking about
discussing
that.
right now. How do you
Yeah.
feel about keeping that?
I think that's fine.
You think it's fine?
Part-
The
I
third?
don't mind. No, I mean, why would you have part of this is to incentivize people to
Have them?
No, but
The
that's,
premise in Kingston was, if what you really are encouraging is something more than your single mother or mother-in-law living with you, 900 square feet isn't very big.
Yeah, it's pretty small. That's-
It's really pretty small. So if your thought is, what you're doing is actually providing an apartment mode sort of housing unit, then you have to go, you have to give them some square footage.
Yeah.
Or it simply isn't,
It's actually a great motivational thing, because they're going from probably 3,000 square foot homes, all of a sudden now you want to jam me into a 900 square foot home? I'll come, but
I mean, some people are absolutely fine with that, but a lot of other people, and if you go beyond it being for a relative, and it's actually going to be a young couple that might have a baby at some point, 2 bedrooms in 900 square feet is just absurd.
hard, yeah.
So
It's
what's
just
the-
absurd.
what's
I mean,
the
I grew up in
genesis of the
1,100
950?
square feet with 4 people in 1 bathroom, so.
It was a different
I know,
time.
it's a different.
And it's why we're all a little crazy as adults.
The genesis of the 950 is the recent state law change, but most towns that we're working with are doing 1,100 or 1,200 max.
yeah, because I was gonna say,
Okay.
you don't
Same
have to
reason.
do,
It has to be legitimate, especially with there being a second bedroom. At 1 bedroom, 1,000 feet is fine, but 2
Two, yeah, you
bedrooms,
need 2.
you're talking about there being more folks in that apartment.
yeah, and you don't have to use a percentage. You could just pick
Yeah,
the
we
square
could-
footage.
yeah, I think I like that
Absolutely
even
just say a
better.
number.
Except, we want to balance that with, this is a secondary unit.
It's accessory.
right, that was part of the language in our old ordinance,
Right.
existing ordinance.
And
It said
we've
it'll
lost
maintain
the ability to
appearance,
do
the working
that.
Appearance.
So all we have is square footage.
So the way it's written right now, we've stricken the 1/3, and we're suggesting just the square footage amount. Because, and we talked about this last time, so you didn't get the benefit of that, but in a lot of cases, it's more complicated for people, and you end up being around the same number. And so most towns are starting to get rid of the 1/3 or half and just pick a number that they're happy with that's generally smaller than the single-family homes in that.
Yeah,
There's kind of ways to game the system too on the.
Just
as
you don't
a
have
maximum.
a
You still have the
smaller
It is.
density.
I
ability
mean,
to go
it-
anywhere from.
If you depart from having it be somehow based on the existing square footage, you run a higher risk that it becomes less accessory-like.
Mm-hmm.
Can you say 50% or 1,300, whichever is less?
I would go slightly less than 52, just because you want
percentage
it
Up
less
to,
than the
Yeah, but there would be, so it's 50% or 1,300, whichever is less.
less.
Right, so at a house bigger than 2,600 square feet, it's still only going to be 1,300.
Correct. Correct.
And 1,300 that is completely
But if you have like a
appropriate.
2,200 square foot house, then it would be 1,100.
1,100.
Do people like that? Do you want to go with that change?
I think that makes sense.
Is that the amount we want?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, that
No,
was
I
a
think
good
it's a-
suggestion, but
It's a good compromise of getting it to be an accessory, but still making it in some instances large enough where you can get a two-bedroom comfortably. I think that's a good middle ground to that.
All right. So I had a related question, which is, do we want, so that's for living area. I know there was an example, right, of a place that was, 600 square feet or 900 square feet, and then a
a basement in an
six-car
attic.
garage. Do we want to say anything about the non-living space? Is that something you run up against a lot,
I
or is
haven't
that
seen
pretty
a lot of towns
uncommon?
writing about the non-conditioned space.
Yeah.
And we've never really restricted that before.
Right.
You know, I don't think somebody's gonna build a 6-car garage on a 2,500 square foot original house with a,
Oh, yeah, somebody
13.
will.
Somebody did.
Somebody did.
Somebody
in
will.
Kingston.
Yeah.
And the only thing I'll say is, we're working with best intentions and a legislature that is dealing with a housing shortage. If we aren't cognizant of that, people will be creating units now that are attached to areas that are called dry storage or whatever. And we have very little way of
5 years from
monitoring
now.
that afterwards.
Yeah.
Because lots of people are very good refinishing interior space. And they don't go for a building permit, and they do it by themselves, and all of a sudden that ADU is actually way bigger than what we thought it was.
I've had this question come to my office a lot.
A lot.
And it's difficult to answer. Typically, the way you'd answer that question would be finished and heated space. Like if it's heated, cooled, and finished space, that'd be living area. But then you get that question of, well, what if it's not heated and cooled, and it's just a big, giant, cold storage area?
Now, the
Today.
The
So-
three-season porch is the big option right now. And the three-season porch, insulated, underneath and so forth, is just a matter of adding the heat after everybody's left.
So how do you legislate that? What
Well, you-
verbiage can we use?
But-
you'd have to have a
Friend.
building permit for a
But that's,
3-season porch, so.
yeah, but that's the non-livable space, so you can build it at the same time you build in your ADU, but it doesn't calculate into the footage.
And then a couple of years later,
You just put your.
I've been
No.
told that, and I was told this morning by the building inspector in Newfields, that the town of Stratham really has had a concern with this. And they have done a builder side remedy dealing with wall construction. And wall construction at the time that the ADU is created has to adhere to this standard that makes renovating it down the line more expensive. And I only heard that this morning, so I haven't had
I don't
any
know the
chance to
details
talk to
on it.
anyone about it.
No.
what about the limiting the footprint size? So
To force them to do 1 or 2 story, or
that there's no, 4-car garage next to it that
I
later
think-
becomes.
I think some of
big.
these concerns are valid. Some may pop up. My fear is you won't get through these edits tonight.
Yeah.
You chase every scenario.
True. I thought there
We'll
might be
keep
some,
thinking of more creative ones.
some
All right.
easy verbiage that you were aware of that could help remedy some of that.
We can look for the unconditioned space.
6-car garage is one.
It is.
Well, could we limit it to
Yeah, but-
It is.
one car
But
size?
who's to stop them from
unconditioned?
building a 6-car garage on the property anyway?
Sure.
Yeah,
And then
Mm.
snapping
valid.
it later.
Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be,
Like, we can chase this a little bit too
It,
much.
it,
Yeah.
and you-
Yeah.
we absolutely can chase it, and I'm quite comfortable tracking down what they're doing in Stratham,
Okay,
because it's something we can do between
Modify
now
later.
and
Sure.
whatever.
Yeah, I think we need something though.
Yeah.
I think especially as everybody's has to do, the ADUs, I think you're gonna see a lot more than,
I think you'll find
that are non-compliant.
that most of these are gonna be ranch style. If I had an ailing family member, I would want first floor living for them.
Right.
So-
Handicap accessible first floor living.
On the first page, we asked a question about, we're gonna have one ADU by right. Do you wanna allow a second ADU by conditional use permit?
No.
No,
I don't
All right,
believe
I just
so.
wanna know, so I'll just drop that question.
I think we
Yeah.
talked about, if they had 4 acres, but then you
But
can
let's
just
start with the
subdivide.
changes that you're making.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't,
Yeah, we don't want any more.
Okay.
Okay.
Parking.
Doug has. a
Oh,
question.
sorry.
I just had one minor thing on the first page for ADUs. So the last point on purpose and objectives retain the neighborhood character and single-family appearance of properties in Brentwood as much as feasible. I'm just thinking, do we maybe want to change that single-family appearance of properties in Brentwood while complying with state law? Because I'm just saying, as much as feasible, I think is just a little bit broad, whereas saying we want to maintain the neighborhood character and appearance while being in compliance with state law, which I think is kind of what we were going for there, but it's just a little bit less clear.
Fine by me.
Are you looking in where it says purposes and objectives?
The
The
last-
the
Yeah,
last
the very last one.
the last one. Yeah.
004.
Let's see.
I mean, it's not binding anyway, so, I mean, the state law is the
It's
state
not,
law,
yeah.
so I don't
Yeah.
think we need that. but
Yeah, no, it's-
Feasible is like a non-thing.
Yeah, I mean it's not a big deal. I just thought like as much as feasible was just
I
a little
think
bit.
it probably shouldn't
Do you
even,
want to?
Do we need
Are
either?
you saying in
Yeah, that's what I'm
one
saying. I don't
or
even think we
adding
need it.
two?
My thought was replacing as much as feasible with while complying with state law, but if
you have to comply with state law, so I think that's not.
It's a
I don't
please
know.
and thank you.
right,
Well-
yeah. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, we don't
Well,
need that.
let's
line
say
at all,
somebody
but-
does something ultra modern and it's not anywhere near like how are you gonna police that? They said, oh, well, as much as we could do it feasibly, it was this new material, it's a lot cheaper, and I don't know how you enforce it, so.
Yeah.
Do you need it in there at all?
It's an aim. We
Yeah,
can't.
let's have no-
You
It's
could
an
say,
unenforced
try to
aim.
retain the neighborhood character and single-family
Yeah,
appearance
it's
of properties in
intent.
Brentwood, and just leave it at
Intent.
that.
And these ordinances are fluid. If we have to make a change another year about 6-car garages or 10-car garages, we can do that. And I don't think
Except
that's
it'll
gonna
already
be a
be
big.
here.
All right, so should we just strike the as much as feasible part?
Yeah, just, but try to.
Yeah, why not?
Try to retain the neighborhood character and single-family appearance of properties in
I
Brentwood.
don't like that.
Or is the neighboring property,
Retain,
you're
don't-
trying to have it look like it belongs on that lot, right?
You can't put
Try
any
doesn't-
design
try
standards
isn't
on it
really
whatsoever.
legislative.
Oh, you
Yeah.
can't put
They-
any,
Stick
No.
might as well not have any of
Retain.
it.
Yeah, maybe the way it's
Yeah.
written.
You
Strike the
stay
whole
with-
thing.
you should stay with retain.
Yeah,
Stay.
do we want to
Yeah.
add Doug's piece at the end, or do we want to just
I-
strike
I-
where, if you know?
It's,
I think we strike after Brentwood, after the word.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
I just thought as much as feasible was a little bit.
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
And if you have
We
to
So
should
it's,
fall
we're just
back on
striking the
it,
end,
just
so it's gonna say
preferences
retain the
state
neighborhood
law.
character and single-family appearance of properties in Brentwood.
Yeah.
Period. Yep.
So
I'm
in
good
other
with
words, if
that.
you put a
It's an
six-car
objective.
garage, that doesn't
Yeah.
retain anything close. yeah.
That's as vague as it should be.
Yep.
Parking question. It says one additional space shall be required for each ADU.
Are you on another
What if
page?
they already have, like people want to convert a barn and there's
They
already,
could show that that's it.
so that's additional. It's just not being used currently.
Wait,
Okay.
Say that again? I missed that.
For parking space, as long as, it says one additional space, but if there's something already existing,
You can still add
you,
one
you can
additional.
count that
You,
as your,
You don't have to add a new one.
you don't have to
Right.
Yeah,
build a new
right.
one.
But you
Okay.
could do a new one.
Yeah.
If you need,
Yeah.
Yeah.
if you had.
the state has put legislation in where you can't require more than one space. That's what that's reflecting.
Mm. And in compliance with the existing driveway rules, I think we talked about
Yeah, that's an ad from you guys.
this before. I'm still in favor of just saying one driveway per property. And I know there's a process, but we're not confident the process is being followed, so.
Are we allowed to? I haven't looked at I haven't seen this aspect. Are we allowed to make that kind of restriction under the new law?
We already have that restriction in place.
Right, but is.
It's not an aesthetic requirement on the house that would be
Right.
different than what's on the ADU. It's just saying that property can only
Okay.
have one driveway.
It would be okay to include that legislation within the ADU ordinance so people are clear when reading it and want to construct one, that they're allowed one driveway, unless they have over 500
if they
feet
have a
of
lot-
road frontage.
A lot of road frontage, according to our driveway standards, they can get a second driveway.
But could they also do a first driveway that, suppose you had a barn that was a little bit far from the house that you're converting to the ADU, could you make like a thing that comes off the driveway, on the property, that comes off to the driveway?
Yeah,
On the
of course you
driveway.
can.
You can do that anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
So
just worried
that-
about the curb cut,
Yeah,
but it may be some situations where you have a corner lot or a much bigger lot where a second driveway would actually be less impact visually and otherwise. Instead of
it's like
having to
an
travel
existing-
cross-country across the lot, drive the place
Yeah.
up and.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
That's why it just makes me nervous to just pick, say, only one and not
Yeah.
allow some wiggle room. I mean, if the lot is big and there is an existing barn on the lot and someone wants to turn it into a house, they're gonna have to come in, go around their house. go
Right.
across
But
20
they
acre
could,
field.
they could ask for a variance for that.
They could, yeah. But the whole point of, I think, of having one driveway is to maintain the single-family appearance.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a balance there somewhere.
All right, what do you wanna do?
Well, I know what I want. I don't know
Chair
if
spoken,
people
but
are in
you guys agree?
agreement with that, but I'd like to just say one driveway. I mean, if you think too, there's like school bus stops, trash at the end of your driveway. There are services that go along with having a driveway.
I think I agree with that, but does this say that there will be allowed a second driveway?
No, it does not.
So we're just thinking that somebody may, why couldn't anybody? decide to put a second
Hypothetically
driveway?
speaking.
Because it's against our regulations.
Well, I mean, if they had theoretically, if they had the space,
If they have over 500 feet of
Correct.
road frontage, they can put in a second driveway.
second driveway.
But what, I don't understand how this is tied to space. Is there like a certain number of spaces that are permitted? It says one additional parking space.
That's kind of the.
Spaces,
Two different
parking,
things.
the state of New Hampshire has said that you cannot have
Require more
legislation
than
that
one space.
requires an ADU to have more than one space. An ADU can have 7 spaces if they want, but we cannot require them to have more than one.
It's just in the same
Should it
sentence.
say
We could
minimum
separate.
of one additional parking space?
You could put that in, sure. Yeah, but you can't demand that they put
Park
in
the
2.
grass. I mean,
But again, I'm not following. Space. What does that mean?
A parking space?
Parking space, a 10 by 20 foot space to put your car
In the driveway?
on the property.
On the
Yeah, you have
property.
to have a space for the car on the property.
Yeah, maybe just break those two things into
Okay.
two
I
sentences.
mean, is there like a limit to the number of spaces you could have on your
No,
driveway?
No limit,
There's no limit.
but a
Limit,
minimum.
you can't require more than one.
You can't require them. You can't put in legislation that says all ADUs have to have 2 available parking spaces.
I see,
That's what you can't do.
I see.
They can have 2 spaces if they want, you just can't require them to.
Minimum.
Separate and apart from the housing unit, this is just for the ADU.
And then, and only one driveway is permitted, will be the second sentence.
Correct.
Okay.
And on section 008,
Yes.
could we just reconform every one of those select men statements to
Select
be
board, yeah.
board of
Oh,
select,
absolutely.
or select board, or
Select
just,
board, yeah.
Yep, we can do that.
thank you.
We can bring you forward.
I'm sorry, I don't remember your first name, sir.
Steve.
Steve. Steve brought up though, if you had a really big property and you had the room to put in the second driveway, if you're requiring one, then they still couldn't do that, even if it was very far.
Well,
from
that's
that.
where, I mean, we have a lot of things. You can request a variance.
Okay.
And, you know, if it makes sense and you've got the barn and an existing
Okay.
gravel driveway and the
I think-
space, then,
I think that's the best way of going
That's
about it,
different.
because
Yeah,
it's gonna
okay.
be so case-specific.
Yeah,
It's gonna be so case-specific that you're gonna have to take it case by case.
but what we want to avoid is somebody with 2 acres building a detached accessory dwelling unit and putting a driveway into it.
So they can have, they can have one detached and one attached on the same house, right?
No.
No,
It has to be
one.
You can do one or.
one or the other. And before, we only had attached, so now we're adding that it can be detached or attached.
Right.
And we're with your language of the 1,300 or 50%, whichever's last for the, okay.
As of now.
As of now.
Now,
Give us 10 minutes.
Was it 13? Was that?
He
That's
said
what was
1,300.
noted.
Is that what you want, Paul, 1,300? 1,300 or 50%, whatever's less?
I think
Yeah.
it makes sense.
I think
All
it's a
live in
good-
big houses.
Good middle point. Yeah.
My house is little, so I wouldn't.
Is that it on ADUs?
I hope
Are
so.
those the big changes?
I think those are
I
the big
think we only
changes.
made it to the second, oh, yeah.
So let
that's
us clean that
Those are
up.
the big
Okay.
We'll still track changes, so you can see what the changes have been made. We'll make sure they're all the same color. We'll add
You can
the
do them purple now.
watermark. All right, that's fine. So that one will give you an updated version for the date on it and all that fun stuff. Which one do you want to do next? Multifamily?
Well,
Yeah.
we're putting off clustered.
Yeah, we're
We
gonna
don't even have to talk about that,
skip
right?
I
cluster
printed
for
them in the
now.
order you gave me, so cluster is next. Yeah.
Okay.
But
We're gonna
not-
skip it.
No, we're
Skipping
not
it.
gonna do clusters, so.
Yep.
Oh,
Maybe next
That's
year, and
right.
it'll be
We're
half
gonna go to
done.
moving
multifamily.
on.
We'll have it half
Moving
done
on.
for next year.
So,
Multifamily?
multifamily, I know one related but separate question was, should we have an industrial zoning district just for Pine Road?
Right.
I think that's a good idea.
What-
Other folks?
What do you do
feel?
with the houses that are there? They're just land. They're
Well,
just,
they're
Well, there's
legally
things can be
existing non-conforming.
grandfathered in, but,
yeah.
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 It's really not,
I mean, that's what we really have now, in effect. That's what our law requires.
Correct.
So you could, if you did want to say Pine Road is now commercial, so that would be a change, obviously, but
Well, you'd be
Probably.
commercial/industrial.
But does
Well,
that
just
mean a person on
industrial.
Pine Road that's residential
it's-
can't put an ADU?
well, right now, it's about 20% residential and
We're on
80%
No, because
industrial,
the ADU
allowing
is
no
predicated
residence in
upon
the industrial portion.
Individual.
yeah, after a certain point, it's
Yes,
just industrial, right? So it's not the whole road,
No,
but we could draw,
but if you wanted to change
Lines.
it to make the whole road industrial, you could to alleviate, traffic concerns down the road as businesses grow. New businesses come in on the industrial end.
I mean, at the last meeting we were at, we talked about if you were to change that district that has Pine Road in it to industrial, you could allow commercial uses, but it could be an industrial district. It's primarily industrially oriented, and then there's an awful lot of land that's out of play. Just not available.
Right, but the key is it would not allow any more residential building.
Correct.
yeah. It's
I think
really
that's a
not
good thing.
And
appropriate.
I think that's what we want to do,
for-
because it's not appropriate to
No,
go settling that area
it is
with
not.
residential structures.
And it might help you with the voters if you're saying like, listen, we're not trying to put houses everywhere. We recognize there are other things that generate income.
Right.
And people probably don't want to live there next to some of the activities that are there that are good businesses.
Right.
But I don't know that I'd extend it all the way down to Middle Road, because somebody could buy that, raise the house, and build something industrial there. So it kind of, it's kind of a buffer there now
So should we use the same measurement that's in place right now?
that's further away. It's a little north of Middle Road, and start it there.
So that really wouldn't be a change because that's what we have.
It is. What we're doing is we're removing the word commercial and saying industrial.
Only,
Permitted
right.
uses could still include commercial type uses, but it allows our argument that it is not a district that should be governed by the new state law that says if you have industrial districts where residential use isn't compatible, that won't be held against you. You can say those districts are not appropriate for multifamily housing.
So we do have to change it.
Because if we leave it as is.
So we should change it.
So we want to, just to be clear, we're going to strike the commercial.
Right, we're gonna, from what we call that area.
What is the difference between industrial and commercial?
Well, part of the issue right now is that the new law says commercial has to allow multifamily. So if we
Okay.
leave it commercial, that means, you could build apartments on it.
Right, we're exposing
And it's
ourselves
not
to
an appropriate place for.
It's an easy distinction. It'd be clothing sales, commercial, asphalt refinery, industrial. Because that's what we have, bark
About
mulch and
asphalt
asphalt
clothing.
and tar paper. Who wants to live next to a tar paper factory?
I don't know, I have a good friend that moved on to, I don't know why he did it, but he lived in a different part of Brentwood and he moved on to Pine Road.
Do you want us to take this change and break it out onto its own, like, half-page explaining it? Okay, you can do that. That way you can talk about it separate.
Right.
You can show the map to the points that have been made.
And then I'm just gonna say, I get confused after that because there's different sub-districts that allow,
Oh, these are your existing.
yeah, I know. But it seems like what's allowed in each for the multifamily is a little bit different.
Let's go through them then.
Could,
So we
I need a
took your
table
existing
or something.
sub-districts, which don't match your zoning map in some ways, and tried to talk about what you could do. And I know you've since met with a couple of folks a couple weeks ago and came up with a new density figure of 6+2 as a possibility.
Mhm,
So
correct.
we want to talk through that. Sorry.
Can I have some clarity on that from last time?
Yeah,
Was
you-
was it 6+2?
You
or
need to
was-
take better notes. So it's,
I thought it
it's six units.
6.13, but they raised it to accommodate for two.
Okay, so listen carefully.
I'm listening.
It's 6 units per upland acre with a density bonus, a 20% density bonus of 2. So it'd be 8 units, 2 of them being affordable housing. 6 units being sold at market value.
Workforce housing.
No, it's affordable housing. That's the way it was presented.
Well, we use the term workforce housing.
Workforce housing?
Yeah.
Did anyone else hear that it was 6, but 2 of the 6?
No,
No one heard that?
No.
6+.
no.
All right.
But that,
Plus
I was the only one who
Yeah.
processed that.
Internalized it.
what else are you hearing, Paul?
but that doesn't mean,
Oh, a lot of stuff.
that doesn't mean,
do-
it's-
If you're gonna do workforce housing, your density actually decreases. That is not our goal.
but that doesn't mean if you have a 5-acre piece of property that you're gonna get 30 units. You have to allow for septic
Right.
and so on that property. You also have to be aware that once you get over 18 units, you have to do a community water supply. And a community water supply is $600,000 to put in. So that's why Mr. Falzone came up with the density that he came up with.
Right.
To keep it within that range of just 2 wells per property without having to do a community water supply.
The concept is very confusing to most people, and I would bet that there probably aren't more than 50 people, residents, voters in this town, other than Brett, that would understand if we just put this out in the verbiage form. Now, there was a parcel of land, next to Tractor Supply that several people had interest in, and I think one of the concepts that one of the interested parties was laying out was to have some higher density housing along with some commercial space. But I don't totally understand it. Again, I think that 90% of the people would not understand just the verbiage here. I'm wondering if we could get a party that would be interested in a parcel to come up with a little schematic of what would a parcel of, say, 10 acres look like, incorporating 8 units, for example, and perhaps some commercial space. I mean, I'm afraid people are just going to
You
not
had one.
understand it.
Yeah,
in
they
terms-
gave-
You
they
had a
showed us
design review
Had two
of that,
5 apartment buildings, right?
Yeah.
Or
Right.
two
of that exact
retail,
parcel.
basically.
But wasn't that according to our specs, our present specifications?
No, it
No.
didn't meet our present
It didn't.
specifications, and that's why we told him he couldn't do it.
But it does give us information regarding the wetland areas on site. so
Correct.
it lets us determine how much upland they have.
Mhm. Because a lot of these parcels do have wetlands.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was like 15 unusable.
And
We could absolutely work through the information that they gave us in that.
yeah, if they weren't
design
opposed to
review.
it, or, just have a generic site. Because, Kristen spoke about having to go out and talk to different groups in town. That'd be absolutely essential. But you have to have something to show people. What does that mean? 6+2 doesn't really mean much to
Well, it doesn't even
Most
say
of it.
6+2 in the,
No,
in
we-
the regulation.
But that's
isn't
in the
incorporated.
No, that's because
workforce.
we
haven't
hadn't
decided on it.
offered that information to them.
Right, last time.
Gotcha.
So I have a question just for clarification for maybe people that are listening at home or don't know some of the verbiage. Upland is buildable, non-wetland? Is that what upland is? Okay. Upland is buildable, non-wetland.
Good clarification.
Thank you.
Another clarification. So you have, on the first page of this one, we have a bunch of different districts that have multifamily allowed different ways, to Kristen's point. If you're gonna pull the Pine Road piece out and make it its own industrial district, you have some options here. We've stayed within your existing regulations and just tried to edit. If it continues to make what you have that probably is cumbersome, more cumbersome, we don't want that to be. We
Yeah.
can clean up this. Do you want to make all of the commercial areas the same name? Do you want to still have a difference of professional office district known as multifamily professional office on the map, multifamily district known as multifamily professional office commercial industrial on the map? Like, to what degree do you want to think about maybe having one or two of these, and then we can make sure that the purpose statements line up right, that the uses are listed the way that they should be, even if they're different?
Be easier to understand.
Yeah, it would be, the only hesitation I have, my first thought is just eliminate the professional
Yeah,
office
yeah.
multifamily that's on North Road. But
Right.
maybe professional office, if we don't have the acreage requirement, that's not a bad thing up there with the amount of county land up there and the fact that with the new, whatever that municipal building is, since it's a county building, not a municipal building, but maybe we still want to do that up there, but not multifamily.
So just call it professional office?
Professional
So,
office.
Mark, is that the green? Am I looking at this sideways?
Yeah, yes, it is the green.
But isn't the available land up there next to residential?
Just a couple of those long lots?
That's why I'm saying the conversion of houses into professional offices happens all the time. A nice New Englander becomes attorney's office really easily, as long as we take away the requirement that they have to have 10 acres.
See, but we need the housing, and we have 125, and we have 27 to some extent. So I feel like North Road, forgetting the count, that end with the county, is residential. And I think people want to probably keep it residential. So I was thinking that would be, North Road would be multifamily. We allow multifamily without the 20-acre requirement, but not necessarily commercial. That's the way I was thinking,
Well, not necessarily professional office.
professional office.
It isn't commercial. Okay,
And that's
Because
the-
I mean,
That's the green district we're talking about.
it is,
Yeah.
it is. It is. I'm less interested. I'm not really interested in foregoing professional office activity up there than you are, but it's not a killer for me either way.
Does it have to be one or the other?
Well, if we take this opportunity to clarify our zoning districts, then we should make the decisions now.
Yeah.
And end up with a project that not only helps us make state mandates, but helps us make our zoning ordinance more consistent.
I'm just thinking back to the surveys we did too. I mean, I think everybody, not everybody, but the general gist of it was 125, 27 Pine business types of things. North, we have some multifamily there now, or, condos and things. And, everything else residential. So I haven't really seen anybody ask for the office type stuff, professional.
Mark, can you
On
zoom out
North Road.
just a little bit?
Absolutely.
I'm just wondering.
Y'all
as
are
you're thinking
looking
about
at
this,
me.
Are the light blue areas, so like the long,
So the light blue areas where it's combined and it's both.
right. So can we
Oh,
at least
sorry.
get down to 2 districts instead of 3? If you're gonna pull,
Close, I get it.
yeah, if the pink and the what is the southeast here, but is your northeast corner in town, if the pink around Pine Road changes and the blue stays the same,
Sorry. I
That's
hate to-
all right.
Hate to do
oh,
that
that's
to you,
worth
but
it. No, that's worth it. Thanks, Mark.
it might help. Oh, by
So
the
we
way.
got pink, blue, and green that all have slightly different versions of each other. And our thought was, if you did just want to simplify it and bring it down to 2 in an industrial, we can help reconfigure that for you. It'll mean writing it up with less track changes, but we can try to keep the language so people can see where a standard has changed. Just tell them that, otherwise it's just administratively trying to make it user-friendly
Right.
for the board. And
You can still do professional office in a commercial zone.
Yes, in a commercial zone.
Yeah.
but you might not want other commercial uses in that green, right?
Yeah.
Well,
So I was thinking, this is multifamily.
And professional
And
office.
professional.
Well, it is now, but in the future, this is multifamily, commercial.
But you're saying in the future, and the town center just goes away? The purple, since we don't really have one, and it's not gonna be the town center
People
anymore?
have been trying to get rid of that town center for years.
Well, I know it's not gonna be there anymore if you don't have a town hall there, you're not gonna have a town center there. But another clarification, just for the ignoramus that I am, what is the difference between multifamily and workforce? Aren't they supposed to both be affordable?
No, multifamily can be market rate. You
Market
can have
rate.
really
Oh,
expensive
really?
multifamily units, yeah.
Like
You
the
can have some really
Ioka.
nice high-end townhouses.
Oh, yeah,
The Ioka's
Ioka, okay,
multifamily.
yeah, sorry.
No, it's a
And
good
not
question, because I
affordable.
think a lot of people.
I don't know.
I mean,
use it
affordable
too.
for some.
Yeah.
But so we're talking about multifamily, but we are required to do workforce, right?
Correct.
I'm just
Correct.
And
c-
part of that-
We're
questioning our,
required to do both.
we have to do the ADU, and we have to do I'm just wondering our order or,
We actually now have to do all 3.
Yeah.
okay,
yeah.
so the
We have
cluster is
to
the only
do-
thing we can put off.
Exactly.
Okay,
We have
all
to
right.
do multifamily in some way in our commercial districts. We
Okay,
have to make the changes to the ADU, and there should be, according to state law, something about workforce housing.
we're working, we are working.
Yes.
Yeah, and to your point, when we had Mark here, one of the meetings, multifamily, like a townhouse.
Okay,
The likelihood of building that and hitting your workforce housing number for owner occupied, easier than a single family home on its own lot. with its own well and septic. So you can get a townhouse constructed at a price point that'd be more affordable, under 400,000 or whatever the number was. Yeah.
So Green North Road, that's professional only at this point?
No, right
Multifamily
now it's
as well.
professional multifamily,
Oh.
but the requirement is 20-acre lots, and there just aren't any. So it's a useless zoning district.
It's one piece of property, but.
No, currently, it's only 20 acres for multifamily, but professional office could be any smaller segment than that, lot than that.
Yeah, but it's 20 acres, but it's still only one house per
So is your
acre.
idea to
Mhm.
designate it as commercial so that then it would?
No.
Just
No.
multifamily,
Or just multi?
Just multifamily.
just to simplify things a little bit.
Or unless you wanted to allow a mixed use with professional office on the first floor and
That's where I go back to the survey. I mean, I think people generally marked that area as residential.
So, or we just, for clarity's sake, just make that residential agricultural. We're not losing anything because we don't have any, all we have out there is the one development, Abbey Road. Then we can honestly say at public hearings, the only housing changes we're proposing are along 125 and 27.
Yeah.
And they are not in
Does.
any, what people consider
Residential.
residential districts.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple. And if, the only
And
reason
Pine
I
Road.
want professional office there is because now a bunch of the legal activity that happens at the present courthouse now happens up at this
Mhm.
new municipal building, which isn't a municipal. You know, probate has moved, the registry has moved,
Yeah.
those features, I think, would be supported by some professional
Well, they
office
can-
buildings.
27's right there, they can just.
It is, it is. I'm willing to let that go, but I think it makes our argument better at public hearings if we just say the whole thing changes
Just residential.
and it's neither multifamily or.
And I think that's consistent with what we've heard from people.
And it allows you to, I like what you're thinking, it allows you to start by saying, listen, a lot of these changes are the result of bigger changes.
State
in the
mandates,
state.
right.
State
And
mandates,
knowing
yeah.
we have to do some of these things, we're also trying to dial back what's realistic in a couple of other places and focus where it makes sense and make it workable, make the numbers work.
And going off that, I think that it's this and also the Pine Road discussion we're having are really helpful examples, because something that I've been, talking to people about is, because one of the questions I get sometimes is, well, we have these state laws, what's the point in even doing anything? But the reason why we're doing this is so that we can comply with state law, but do so in a way that makes sense for Brentwood.
Right.
And so I think that these discussions and the nuances of this strengthen that and show through our actions that we mean that.
Yeah.
I love that verbiage. You need to say that again.
It's been captured, right? We
That's right.
recorded.
Yeah,
it.
that particular line though is particularly good, Doug, for the people in Brentwood, that we're trying to conform to the new state laws while also doing so with you said it best.
Doing so in a way that makes sense for
For
Brentwood.
Brentwood,
Which
right,
works for
so,
Brentwood.
which we also think is sort of the least
Yeah.
change or whatever,
We're
Yeah.
using the
Well, it's-
control
Yeah.
that we still have.
but that sounds really good.
And it's, the uses that people want in the places that they want. them.
Right, right.
And
Yep.
That area
And it's really important, because I know a lot of folks, are feeling like we've been asking for feedback over and over again, and I think it's really important that we show folks that we're listening to that
Yeah.
feedback. We're not just asking for it and then just,
Ignoring it.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
So.
No, that was great. Yeah, if you didn't get the
Okay.
wording.
We
back to
both
that.
just wrote it
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
all right. So that's that. And then we have multifamily, professional office, commercial, industrial, the blue. If it's commercial, it is multifamily now.
Exactly.
Right.
So can it just be commercial?
Yes, it could be, and our zoning ordinance could clarify that uses in the commercial district include multifamily.
And is there
development.
any reason why the two blue couldn't just be that commercial? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what she's saying. Eliminate professional office altogether and
Love
just
it.
make that commercial as well. Because you have to allow multifamily in the commercial now. So
And the yellow would just go all the way up, other than along Route 125.
And the professional office, can that also be in commercial?
Yeah, it can be a
Yeah.
use that's
Yeah.
allowed.
So
in
professional is part of commercial, okay,
So-
so
yeah.
it doesn't, you don't
Because
even need
office
that.
is already
Yeah.
on, yeah.
Yeah,
mhm.
That makes sense.
and then it's every existing thing, like we said, the houses on Pine Road or whatever.
Yeah.
And what was a house and now is a lawyer or a insurance or something. Are those all, what are they called, grandfathered in?
Legal non-conforming
If,
use.
if they're, if in the commercial zone, those, professional offices wouldn't be, but houses that
Have been converted.
have been, well, if they've been converted to a commercial use, they're not non-conforming.
Right.
No, but I mean, so like if we change this, can the house go back to being a house? And can it also stay or can it stay as a
Well,
professional
we
office?
presently allow residential development in the commercial district. Single-family residential development in the commercial
It's
district.
just when you
We
subdivide
don't
the,
allow you to subdivide to the
Right, right.
2-acre standard.
Yeah, yeah,
You have to subdivide to the 3-acre standard.
Mhm.
okay.
And if you eliminate the multifamily district altogether, that doesn't mean people have to move out of the condos.
Right.
No, I don't mean that,
They're
yeah.
just living in a
Yeah.
non-conforming
Yeah,
use,
it's
which
just
is fine.
not-
It happens all the time. Yeah.
So I think you just made this section much simpler.
Way easier.
Yes,
Yeah.
Way
100%.
Yeah.
It's way more palatable to the voter to say, where are these going?
Yeah.
In the commercial district around 125 and the commercial district on 27.
So do we want to look at what starts on page 2, commercial, was commercial / industrial? It's just going to be commercial now. And look at the standards and make sure you're comfortable. And I know, Kristen, you mentioned something about the way multifamily was listed.
Yeah, just real quick, so for 125, it's commercial industrial, but should it just be commercial?
Commercial,
Yeah.
yes.
Commercial, okay.
Strip that.
We're gonna, yes, that's what we're gonna
And we'll
do.
make the use
Commercial
consistent.
will include multifamily and
And-
professional office spaces?
Mhm.
Okay.
And industrial, no? Or no?
Not on,
We're gonna
on
remove
125.
industrial from 125. Industrial's gonna stay on Pine Road.
Do we have any industrial on 125 now?
No.
Have any industrial?
we have a manufacturer. We do have somebody who qualifies as a manufacturer, because but they're just
Actually,
assembling
Now that I
things.
think
We
about
can
it, that's the
create
best
an
move.
updated draft map. Zach will create a map for you guys to simplify it for your next conversation and for any public hearings. We can show this map and then say, here's how we're simplifying it, and then Doug can stand up and say what he's already said twice.
And you gotta say it the exact.
Exact
Yeah,
way.
right, yeah.
So,
You're gonna have
We'll-
to watch.
We'll
this.
pull it off the thing.
I'm gonna write it down.
I-
I'm gonna listen
Have-
back. I'm gonna write it down as a sticky note, put it on the top of my
Quarter
computer.
of 8 or something started.
I think what was confusing to me going through this is like, well, in this zone, it's 75 feet, and in this zone, it's
Oh.
50 feet, and in this zone, it's 75 on the back, but not on the sides, and,
It's
so
confusing for you.
if it's confusing for me, I needed a table or something. I know you asked in here somewhere if we wanted to reduce the buffer from the road on 125, the
yeah.
frontage,
Yep.
or, well, the
The
setback.
Building setback.
But I think what we heard from developers is they're gonna do that anyways, because the people who live there want a buffer from the road. So current residents want a visual buffer, and future residents want a visual buffer from,
So this is
The
where
other
we talked about setting it from 125 down to 75 feet.
Page.
Because right now, it doesn't
Page 3.
differentiate between if it's a residential use or a commercial use either.
Oh.
And if they want to have a commercial use up front, if they want to do that kind of horizontal mixed use where there's a commercial building up front and a residential building in the
Mhm.
back, maybe
Yeah.
not even attached.
Yep.
Commercial building, might be nice to pull it up a little bit, have a relationship with the street.
is 75 feet enough if we think they're going to widen 125?
Typically, the 125 works because you have the parking out front. You know, I mean, let's take Tractor Supply, for instance, that's set 125 feet back. And then you have a parking lot in the front of it, and then you have the right-of-way from the state of New Hampshire. So in those instances, it really works for parking. So what would you want, the building out closer to the road and the parking in the back?
Well, then when you consider future expansion of 125, I mean, that was part of the reason this was
Yeah.
put in 30 years ago.
Right, the 125, I mean, when DOT did the corridor study on the southern part of 125, they asked both Plastow and Kingston to change to be 100 feet.
Okay.
And both communities did that, so the setback is 100 feet from the property line, actually, on those properties. And that was at DOT's request, so I wouldn't go lower than 100.
Yeah,
Um,
I would
I
match
think we should
Kingston.
just leave it as it is.
I think we.
Well, the other reason we made it smaller is I think you and a few others talked about that as you get away from 125, it gets wet.
Yeah.
So like, you're gonna push everybody back, and then there's not gonna be a possibility of doing anything. Doesn't look great.
Maybe a middle ground is 100.
I make a motion that,
The corridor study is still recommending 100 feet. I mean, they-
can I
Yeah,
move to
this,
100
the
feet?
state recommends 100.
100?
Yeah,
Because
and
then
we
it'll be
don't,
the same
we
as
don't need a
Chris-
vote,
we
I
don't
think
need a vote.
if we have a
But it
consensus.
sounds like you'd rather be at 100 feet than.
Yeah.
at 75.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100.
There's your middle ground. Yeah.
Other feedback, other items. So the next time you see it, it'll be shorter, so the number of items you have to review will be less.
Once again, do we just not pretend we don't see the purple? The town center? Yeah, should we just like
Center.
ignore it for the time
I'm
being?
not willing to,
He's not gonna give up on the town center. He's just not ready.
I mean, am I ready? Of course I'm ready,
If the
but
town offices stay here, we can go look at that again. They're trying to really make a building that doesn't have them here. How can
except
the town
maybe
center be
the
here?
town, maybe, and then this becomes the biggest draw building, whatever it gets used for next, and gives us a town center finally.
How would you have a town center with none of the town stuff there?
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's come,
All of a sudden. the
All right, we're
Postal
gonna ignore it.
Service
let's
says-
come
I-
back
I-
to that
Workforce
one.
housing.
I would agree, it's
Um,
probably not the year to try and do
It-
that.
Yeah.
it is.
It's probably not the year to.
I had a question, I don't know where this fits in exactly, but I feel like, do we need a limit on the size of a building or the number of apartments that can be in a building? So that people don't think we're talking, 100 apartments in a building, I don't know. I think there was an upper bound in one place.
I'm looking
somewhere.
For it. Yeah,
It's
there
a-
was.
Well, original. existing
20.
ordinance says 6 units per building, a maximum of 6.
I was just looking at this, and now
Well,
it's saying
that's-
that you could take it up to as many as 12 if workforce housing is included.
Yeah.
That's
Why
what we
can't
were
we take it
saying.
to 8?
Yeah,
I'm thinking
eight.
That's
something.
You
all.
changed it since we
Yeah.
met last.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's per acre, right? So if you had
Right.
5 acres, so that's 40. Do we want to say, but each building, you can't have a gigantic block with 40 apartments in it. You can have 8 plexes or 12 plexes or something.
I thought we already had something,
No, it's not the units per acre. It's
I wrote down workforce says 20, but I don't, that's somewhere else.
we did talk about units in a building.
Okay, I have absolutely no problem with saying we don't want a building with 100 units in it. It is I am much less crazy about saying we don't want a building with 20 units in it, 10 on the second floor and 10 on the first floor.
I don't know what the number is, but
If you say 8, you are increasing the costs of developing that
Yeah.
site. Because all of these when you individualize these buildings, it increases cost. And that's gonna increase rents or mortgage costs or whatever.
yeah.
So I'm not saying we have to set a number here, but I think I'd like the opportunity to go and maybe take pictures of some that have been built in Portsmouth or Barrington or someplace
Yep.
to say that number should not be less than 10.
Yeah.
It should probably be twice as much as 10.
You talked too about visually how you can break things up
Yep.
so that they don't just look like a giant block.
I mean, we can give you language for that. as well.
Yeah.
So we
Right.
can look at some examples like Gwen's saying for next time and give you some language, just some really short language that Mark has written that talks about without becoming over, requiring.
Right,
all
100
kinds
is
of stuff.
ridiculous. I mean, they exist, but that's ridiculous.
But our
For-
land
for
mass would
Brentwood, that would
support that
be-
number. I think the land mass will probably take care of the number of units.
Maybe.
I
Might.
think you're absolutely
I think our
correct.
experience is that if there is an amount of acreage and there's a calculation to be done, someone will find a way to maximize
Right, right.
Make
That's absolutely true.
absolute largest thing possible.
That's
So
absolutely true.
if we want it,
So if we're
to
comfortable with what
not
that
look like
maximum
that.
thing would look like, then
yeah,
we won't be scared.
So
Yeah.
let's do both. We'll bring some examples, and if you could bring some examples too, and then we'll also bring you I'll give you some short language that he wrote, and we can play around with it
okay.
to help break them up, so you don't end up with just giant rectangles.
Yeah.
Do we feel good enough with the big changes? I mean, I think you made some pretty big changes tonight, which is pretty exciting. To
Good.
go on and talk about the workforce housing piece, because I think, Kristen, you were talking about whether or not they could kind of be brought together. Is that part of what I heard?
Yeah, this has been my question all along, and I know Glenn disagrees with me, but
I like
if
that you sit across from each other is much more fun.
he used to sit back here,
Oh,
and
that's awful.
yeah, and
Because she couldn't see the faces I was making.
yeah.
Now I have to be cognizant of that.
So the workforce law is not definitive, right? I mean, it's not like thou shalt have a thing that says this. It's you have to create reasonable opportunities, that kind of thing.
Right.
So, and it has to be everywhere there's residential, right? So I feel like what the state did with ADUs, to some extent, created that opportunity everywhere. You can build 900, 1,200 square foot houses anywhere. They're not, I know they're not separate in terms of ownership, but, and then you have the commercial zone where you can have multifamily. Can we just do the bonus density in the commercial ordinance? Like integrate some of these things rather than having a completely separate,
I mean, that would
Ordinance.
that would qualify.
In order to do that, you'd have to institute rent control. Because if you look at the rental number for what workforce is $1,900 a month, including utilities.
Good luck with that.
You, I dare to tell you what you can rent out an ADU for. And it is more than that.
yeah.
Without utilities.
And
Well,
on
that- I
the sales
had
end
a-
too, for 30 years, it can't increase, you can't be sold for more than the, what is it? the
We have,
consumer price?
we have that problem regardless right now with the standalone workforce draft because it has language in there about, and I don't know how we would manage that.
They
'Cause we
have to
don't,
manage it.
Yeah.
So when they come to you, they have to come to you with a plan for how they're gonna track
Okay.
it and report it. The one, I can ask Mark about if you were to take this and just make it relate to the commercial districts and move the language into the commercial district part.
Mhm.
I could ask him if that could be done. The one thing I think he's gonna push back on is right now on page 3 of that, we have the residential agricultural district. And we talked about this, I think, last time. If somebody wanted to come into a subdivision of single-family homes and wanted to create a couple of workforce housing units, they wouldn't be able to access the bonuses. And they could test it, I would imagine. If you and I went into business, we bought some land in the residential agricultural,
Mhm.
and we want to get a couple more units and access the workforce housing unit bonus, we can't. It's only applying to commercial. So it
But
doesn't have to
every-
just be multifamily units.
yeah, but every single family residential plot in Brentwood now can have 2 units on it
Right, that's one strategy.
by law.
It's one strategy.
So,
So you're saying just let that
so can you
be-
really contest? Can you really contest that if somebody wanted to build a subdivision and wanted a density bonus when the state just gave
them a density,
everybody a density bonus? We just basically went from, 1 house per acre to
and said
sort of
ADUs
2 houses per acre?
And said ADUs can be constructed right along with a new build.
When you build it, you can build
So
2 units.
Every subdivision now can, what used to be 15 units
You're gonna scare them.
can be 30 units.
Yeah, and I get, like, they can't be separate owners, those 2
Yeah,
things are tied
California, you can.
together.
We're,
Well,
we're not there.
not yet, but those could all be rental units.
Yeah, I mean, it's all in what you're comfortable with and what your attorney
But
can
the,
said.
and I
don't
think,
know.
I think you
Yeah.
do 2
I could
birds
do
with one
All right.
stone. If you say the IDU, I mean, the
trust you.
ADU, that's how we're conforming to the the workforce housing.
And make
Because they're
somebody,
low-
and make somebody challenge it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let me ask
Makes
Mark
But they
and
said
on
we have to
behalf,
be working
and
for it.
you
That
think about
works
it some more
for
too.
great
I mean,
idea.
is there anything we could do with the ADUs to incentivize
I'm just
people
cautious, but
to rent them more affordably?
And I want you to be
So-
cautious.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
If
I
you-
think it's a good question.
If you
We'll say that's how
build-
we're working for it, because.
If you build an ADU and you rent it at, the affordable rate, then you can, let's just say instead of 1,300, let's say we set it at 1,000. But if you rent it affordably, you can build it at 1,300 or, I don't know. I don't know how that would work, but I know.
I haven't really thought about it in this way, but my initial reaction is that I'm not sure that it's totally in the spirit of the workforce housing law to use the ADU statute that way.
But it's such a great
You
idea.
don't think
I,
so?
I,
It
I
makes
love you,
total
Doug, and my
sense.
response to that is, we're going to go full bore in the
This
commercial
idea.
districts
Yeah.
for inclusion and density bonuses for workforce housing.
Mhm.
And we've been forced to make every single lot in our residential agricultural district a duplex. Sue us.
Right.
Sue us and make it and show why we're being so evil that we're not we haven't taken steps to comply with workforce housing.
So that's,
And
that's,
I will offer my services at a discount.
I mean, I really think that's a legitimate response.
You might be right.
They
yeah.
say,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
say in the ADU law that there's a possibility you can use ADUs.
Right, that's
Yeah,
what I
for
thought.
workforce
Perfect.
for
That's what I thought, yeah.
meeting workforce housing requirements.
It's a-
I'm, that's a challenge I'm willing
that's me,
to go
yeah.
with.
We should do that.
Sue us.
So if we do go down that road, it would make me feel a little bit better if we had something in our purpose and objectives for,
To state that
Correct.
one of our goals is that this would increase the opportunity for workforce housing.
correct.
We're so happy the state passed this.
I think
So that we
that's a
can-
legitimate thing to say.
Yeah, yeah.
I think Doug has an extremely valid point,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
if that is going to be your mission statement,
Yeah.
that it
If
should
you
be
can kind of
incorporated
vary
But
into the,
workforce
into
housing,
the multifamily
Yeah,
ordinance.
and the multi,
Death knell
yeah,
passed
yeah,
in
into the workforce housing.
ordinance.
Well,
But
you
legally,
put
we
that in
have,
your
we have to.
Yeah,
I think
But-
we're
but-
coming up with
A provision to accomplish
something
it.
that works for Brentwood, that's defensible, that
Do we
meets
have to
the
use the word
law.
workforce if we put all the ingredients in?
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to trigger all the definitions and to show that you're complying with the law, that
Yeah.
you're not compliance with.
Right.
It's gonna be the tough,
And all,
that's the tough part.
But if it becomes a subsection of the commercial district, which is where I think you're all headed, it becomes one of the provisions of the commercial district. You could talk about that before it related to a much bigger part of the.
well, the ADU can be anywhere
exactly.
in the
Well, I'm saying
residential.
Just for the workforce housing bonuses.
Yeah.
just
Right.
allowed-
Yeah,
Just go to the purple and now blue.
I kind of want someone to sue us on that,
they won't, 'cause-
because I think that that is a
I would
really,
love to watch.
that's a defendable response by the town.
So it-
I
So
really
having,
think it
so
is.
having
It's
put that out
reasonable.
there, let me ask one other question, because I think this is a valid question
brilliant.
too. And- oh,
it was good. It was-
I'm not disagreeing with it. I
What
think
if
it's a
somebody
good idea.
has a very large old house in our single-family residential area? Is there any way to allow, I mean, we know we already have some that are broken.
A
up.
rooming house, you mean?
No,
No, no.
but, and maybe that's a variance
We're
question.
doing them
Maybe
in
they
other
can,
towns
Or a
up-
special
up-
exception.
We're doing them in other towns up to 4 units, because beyond 4 units, you have to sprinkle and do other fire code stuff. So up to 4
Yeah.
units, through a conditional use.
I mean, you still have the sewer or
Septic, yeah.
septic and
Yeah,
water
so you deal with
challenges.
Septic, you deal with parking, you deal with like buffering, screening, all through a conditional use.
But maybe if you know, if you have the space, the square footage already, you already have the footprint,
Yeah,
and you're willing to make that workforce housing, then we allow you to go ahead and put
I mean, even
3
if-
apartments
Even
in
if you
your.
don't make it workforce housing, just following your other line of thought, if you were to just restrict where workforce housing goes, if you allowed residential conversion of multifamily through conditional use permit or by right, it would create smaller units. So if you take a big old colonial and you break it into 4 in their condos or their apartments, they're smaller units, they can attract differently than a single family home. And that's what some of the communities we're working with are doing.
I think maybe we should think
That
some
might be
more on
next
that.
year.
Yeah,
Next
yeah,
year,
that's a little
okay.
too much to handle,
We
but
can give you language.
if
I think,
we're,
I think it would probably be a conditional use permit, because we'd
Yeah.
want it to
Yeah.
come through.
Right.
But you want to just have it for the future and then you can use it.
yeah,
If you,
Yeah,
you don't mind doing
I-
that, yeah.
yeah, I just don't want it in the stuff this year.
I-
But
Yeah.
I just wanted to go back to,
Not hard for us to do it.
back to Paul's, 1,300, and if we're considering ADUs that we want some of them to be affordable, do we want to change that 1,300 to 11 or 12 or anything like that, or? You know what I mean, the 12 or the 50% now?
It
Okay.
becomes such a tracking thing
Okay, I'm just,
then.
if it gets much bigger, then it's not going to be affordable. That's
But I see what you're saying. If you cap the size,
Then they
and,
can't.
places cost $300 a square foot or whatever to build, then they're naturally more affordable.
It kind of leads
people.
me to one other question I had on.
Sure.
On G, workforce housing general requirements, number 2. We were doing a work session the other night and the, one of the developers, it was almost like I was asking for his firstborn when we asked the question about costs.
Oh, yeah, he didn't like that
He
at
didn't
all.
like that at all. So
Yeah.
is that common language? that
For
they-
this, where they're trying to show the pro forma and why they need these units and how they can make it work. For this, it's common.
Okay,
I think
good.
in other cases, they don't necessarily want to be asked.
Oh, they don't want it
Yeah.
at all.
No, he didn't, yeah.
I mean, with this, often it's a developer that's quite comfortable doing this. They've done it in other places. This language is familiar to them. They have a market. They have a way of tracking it. You may never get one of those developers.
Yeah, I mean, I think he said basically there is no profit on the workforce units.
He's made enough profit. in
It's
Brentwood.
break even and he
Right,
makes his money on the other.
profit on the market, great.
Yeah. No, that'll make sense. I think we have what we need to work on these three and come back with some additional stuff. We'll get additional stuff to Mark to get to you ahead of time. But that means, so we would meet again when? November?
We gotta get out.
Yeah. We did. 16th, is that too
16th too early?
soon?
It's not too early. I'm just seeing if we're both around. I think we're actually, hate to say it, I think we're both around. So yeah, the 16th, we
Okay.
could do. I'll double
Does
check.
that give you enough time to get stuff out a week in advance?
I think so. Yeah,
Okay.
these changes, I
If
mean,
you're,
I think
if you're comfortable, that's
in
wonderful.
some ways it's gonna be easier because the way you strip down the multifamily, we can work with Zach on getting a map, so we're all thinking the same way. I could check with Mark on the questions. The changes aren't huge. The hardest change is gonna be figuring out how to make green and red the same color.
If you,
Do we have anything for the Brentwood newsletter?
We do.
Well, the-
We have another article on multifamily that'll explain the state changes and what's being talked about, and we'll run that by you guys.
Is it short?
if you go in Word,
Yeah.
info, inspect document, remove information, remove names.
Oh, so then it makes all the track changes from the same author?
Yep.
You've done a lot of this. Okay.
It's okay, they got it.
Thank you so
Counting on
much.
Crystal having understood that. Well, between Crystal and I, or I'll call Kristen.
When you don't want your name on a document that's floating around, that's
This was a really good session.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, it takes time with these, you all to get comfortable kind of, and being honest with each other where you agree and disagree, and I think.
One
Good,
final
okay.
question I had was, I don't understand how when you have the, like we do have a little bit on some of the smaller new developments, when you restrict, you have the affordable housing, they can only sell their house for a certain percentage more, right? What is that?
deed restriction.
15%, I believe the percentage was, yeah.
So when everybody else is going up, 200%, they can just do 50.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one
Yes.
thing
That's
that I
the one
do
thing I don't
not
like about
That is
it.
a
really
challenge.
like about workforce. That's the one thing, is that while everybody else is building equity, you are not really,
Well, you're building.
you're building some, you're building some equity,
Some people-
but it makes it difficult when you say, oh, my house needs a new kitchen, and it's,
It's for 30 years.
20
too, I
grand
believe.
for a new kitchen.
it
It's tough
30
to invest
years?
that money in a house that you know that
Just give
you're
them
not
the
gonna get the same.
opportunity.
The trade-off, yeah, is to
Yeah.
get
Yeah,
in.
it is.
And
To
then hopefully that
something.
opportunity gets passed on to somebody else. You
Yeah.
say, well, this isn't for me, I want a different unit now.
Right.
Exactly.
And that's really not the intent. The intent is to get.
So does it
people
stay
in
there with
home.
the second person? Does that,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Deed
Stays there.
restricted
Deed.
for
Deed restricted on the property.
30 years.
Which isn't really a bad thing.
well, unless you were trying to
In
still.
this market, it's not a bad thing, because look at how many people can't afford anything.
But almost nobody can. If the workforce is 431 or something, there aren't any houses in Brentwood for 431.
Well, I'm not even sure that's correct anymore. I think it's higher.
I think it's higher, yeah.
432.
And I think, so Steph did have a question, because I think Mark had said, Mark was talking 12, 20, 24, and the developers that we talked to said, the 6 and 2.
Yep.
My theory was that Mark's working in other parts of the state, and this is a very expensive area, so he can make that money on those 6 units and break even on the 2. And so it works in Brentwood, but it wouldn't work in Manchester, or,
Yeah.
does that sound right?
And, what type of units were they talking about building with the 6+2? Were they multifamily?
Didn't really, yeah.
Right, and they were like multifamily rental structures? No rentals, so townhouses?
Nice.
So Mark's probably thinking if you also think about rentals, like apartments. But I can ask him.
Okay.
Yeah.
He seemed pretty confident that, and it's, I think it resonates with
Right, it gets you
folks here.
closer to
yeah.
people's objections.
way.
Yeah, it's sick, because it used to be 10 plus 2 or something. It used to be 12 and now it's 8
We
or whatever.
started out was 10 too.
Yeah, 10 and
But I think, people need
No.
to, people, you still need to understand, I think, Bruce's point that, it'd be nice if we had some drawings. I don't, it's probably not
Yeah,
fair to use something that somebody's given us, but if you have,
Well-
it's not a total of 8, it's,
That's something.
if you have
that
5
somebody
acres.
Gave us
it's-
was Wayne. And
Right.
Wayne
Oh, okay.
said he would help us in any way he could.
Okay,
Yeah, have him
so
show
maybe
it
he
to you.
can
So
give us some
maybe it's time to make another request.
3D, some.
Yeah, and by comparison, I
little
think
easier to
Mark and
see.
I did a study last year when we were working with Rye, looking at more urban locations, and it was 32 to 40
Wow.
per unit.
With town water
With
infrastructure.
water and sewer.
Mhm.
Yeah, and they were looking at a spot in Rye that they were trying to keep fairly dense. And of course, they weren't crazy about 40 per acre. But, yeah, so to be at 6 with no town water and sewer, it starts to make some sense. And then allowing 2 more units if it's workforce.
Right.
The education component of this is gonna be the biggest struggle, and you guys have done a great job. And maybe even some of your articles will be recycled after the public
Oh,
hearings.
please.
Mhm.
The interesting part is to see how well attended the public hearings are. It seems like most people have their opinions all made up now, and they know what they want, and they know what they don't want. And I'm wondering, again, not now, but maybe along toward February, when it was still in people's mind. We have a great town council, Laura Morgan, Spectra Morgan, and she's come to town meeting a number of times, and she's able to, in just very basic, plain language, explain to people, in this case, what the state law requires. And maybe if she could write something just very basic, and she'd be the signer on it, to say to Brentwood people.
The New Hampshire Municipal Associations put out some things too, explaining what the law requires now. We might be able to steal some.
Maybe if we could just kind of anchor that to Brentwood.
I think you're right. And after the meeting on the 16th, we get an even clearer draft, then we can talk about creating those cover sheets and including some of those photos. So we'll get some photos to you, and Glenn, if you have some examples, we can pull them up when we meet next time too and look at them.
And, Bruce, I think the other thing is that I feel like we're trying hard to
You are.
do what
Oh, I think so.
people want, meet the law, provide more opportunities.
And I mean, I'm personally agreement on all of this, but you have to convince the people that may
Yeah.
not come to the hearings,
Without a
that have
doubt.
their preformed ideas about what workforce is.
I think the onus is on everybody sitting at this table. Quite honestly, you're looking to everybody else to advocate for it, but you should be advocating for it.
But-
You need
well,
to reach out to the people of Brentwood and need to talk to them.
We'll have public hearings, but generally speaking,
Nobody
very
comes.
few. If you get 4 or 5 people.
You're the ambassador of Brentwood, Uncle Bruce. You're the ambassador of
Mark,
Brentwood.
No,
Well,
I think it'd
that's-
be-
You
we
should be
should
talking
probably
to
let these
everybody.
guys go.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
and I also want
Wanted to
to
say something.
I also want to be mindful of how patient Ryan has
Just
been.
for informational purposes, Mark, you weekly check how many views we get? I'd be interesting to know what that number
Oh,
is.
yeah, I could go
So-
back and look at all.
50
Sure.
or something.
For this meeting, only to see if it increases, because if we can capture the attention of people and they can get this information from us and you while you're here, I think.
I'd be willing to pay 2 people to have a fight in here. So the word would spread, did you see that fight at the planning board meeting? And then
That's a great
everybody would
idea.
tune in to watch it.
You and Bruce.
Yeah.
We
And,
had that one,
elder
didn't we,
abuse,
already?
I get arrested for elder
With the
abuse.
holidays coming
Thank
up,
you.
it's
On that note.
Good night, thank you.
Thank you,
Good
guys.
I think it might be useful too to have maybe an article from the planning board or because I've changed a lot of my sort of preconceived ideas of how I didn't want anything to change since I've been on the planning board, since I've been an alternate. So it might be interesting to say, this is what I felt before, but the state laws,
Start
I might be
writing.
able to.
Go for it.
Yeah, I mean,
No,
I
you're-
would definitely,
You
Why
need
don't
to
you put it
advocate,
together?
you need to advocate as well. Education, we need to educate people.
Well, I think,
on what we're
Kristen
talking
brought something up early on that, I don't know how many boards or groups there are in town, but there must be probably 30 different groups, from the rec commission to the library to the historical society. And I think every one of us is gonna have to take 1 or 2 of those and go out maybe sometime not before Christmas, certainly, and New Year's, let that get over with, which is kind of a short window between middle of January and the middle of March. I mean, it's 60 days.
And I disagree with you, not between now and Christmas, because I think there's all kinds of things. I'm on a subcommittee for the seniors at rec, and there's all kinds of things that are happening between now and, there's a craft
We need to
fair, there's
we need to
a-
lock this language down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what we need
yeah.
to do. We
I-
need to
Yeah.
get those ordinances.
And we're all
lock 'em
saying the
down.
same thing to all the
Exactly.
people.
All right.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Doug had talked about doing office hours too, so
Yeah.
if people want to drop in.
But what did we say, we can only have 2 people?
Yeah, that's the problem. There's so few people that come. I wouldn't,
To a public hearing, you might, I think if we had 6 residents.
The office hours thing. I mean,
I think that would be a little small
In
too.
pairs.
in pairs?
Yeah, I think it's good to do it that way. Yeah, I mean, if no one's coming, I think, we go out and we try to reach people, but the fact that not too many people show up, maybe they have been listening and reading the articles and they're okay with what we're doing. Because we know they came for,
Well, I think
the-
Liz raises a good point over at the rec center. They capture a demographic.
Like
and-
we have, the Historical Society and rec in 2 weeks is doing a luncheon, and then they do another
And
one,
that's what
and,
I'm
and then they
If
do
we had
bingo if we have
together,
something
we
each
could
time.
address-
yeah.
But
If we had-
firstly, you gotta nail down that framework, so after next week,
Exactly.
we'll have something that's
I
ready
agree.
to go to public
Yeah,
hearing.
we need to nail
And
down the
I'd
legislation.
say
We're
Kristen's
all
the
on
best
same
writer we have
Yeah.
on the board.
Oh, I'm just using Chat GPT now. JK, JK. All right, anything before we,
Did I already ask the question of what's the difference between workforce and affordable? You said we're supposed to use workforce.
there is a
Workforce.
workforce law.
Workforce law, okay, and but affordable, we don't use that, but they're all kind of synonymous.
There's actually a definition
no?
in there of
There's
affordable
another
too,
definition, you're
in the
right.
law.
Okay,
I mean, they're
but there's not much of a
they're
difference. right?
basically interchangeable,
Okay,
but state law references it
workforce.
as workforce housing. So
But
Okay.
but
And nobody
it's
thinks
not,
affordable, so that's better anyway.
but it's not synonymous with some of what we heard at the open house we had.
right,
Well,
What's the other word?
Section eight.
Section 8.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
completely
It's not
that's
section.
no.
Completely different.
But,
Yeah.
but most people don't consider $450,000.
Well, $432,000 is not that.
Yeah,
Did you have
but,
something?
No, I just want to be respectful of how patient Ryan.
No,
Ryan said,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we-
You
right.
missed your window, you could have bypassed all those guys.
So, next on the agenda, continued site plan review for 1 Smith Road. That's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah, well, he's not handing out One Smith Road, he's handing out Mastriano. But
Okay.
he does have a statement
you do.
about,
Both, okay.
okay, we can do Mastriano first. Yep,
I
Oh, it
forgot
is?
you were both.
he is, he'll.
These are the same.
So, correction, continued site plan review for 180 Route 25.
We'll share.
One building with 6 contractor-style garage bays.
And he'll tell you.
If you're not speaking and you are looking at papers, turn off your microphone.
Okay, good. I don't need to do a big blurb. We've had a few continuances and we've had a lot of work on this, but for the record, Ryan Lavelle Associates, I'm representing the Mastriano Group. It is the 6 proposed contractor bays on the site known as map 216, lot 28, and about 2.77 acres. This site also has a used automotive sales business and basically a doggy daycare shown on the left and on the right. This proposal is a new parking configuration. We had to do some stuff with DOT permitting, which I'm not sure if we've gotten that yet. We've had some correspondence with the fire department. Last meeting, there were a lot of comments that had been answered but not verified that they were answered, I guess. We've had some correspondence with the town as well. I don't know. You got the most recent drawings that were delivered to my office at like 2:30 today, as well as a rendering of what the building would look like, which was something I don't think that we supplied to the board before. And I know I'm probably missing a couple things. I know that I believe Eric, the civil engineer that worked on this project, responded to the planning board's most recent comments. One of them, a couple sticking points in there, I think, was he's waiting on a rendering of the lighting plan. But that being said, I know that there was some notes on the plan that says that all lighting shall adhere to Brentwood zoning ordinance, and so I know that's something that we do not have at this time, but we would feel comfortable with some sort of, if there was an approval, for that to be a condition.
So I have a question that's kind of for anybody who can speak to it. Just looking at the letter from the fire department, I guess I'm not really sure what I was expecting, but it's a little bit more vague than I kind of.
Intentionally.
Yeah, it kind of feels like they kind of just kicked the ball right back to us.
No, I read that and I went down to the fire department and asked them,
Yeah.
is this me or is this vague? And it was intentionally vague. And the reason being was because of the abutter that stated that he didn't want his cistern used in the fire suppression calculation.
Mhm.
That's the reason why that was so vague.
Mhm.
Now, the fire department has the right to use any cistern.
Right.
It's not like, you know, your building's on fire, they drain your cistern and they go, well, sorry, out of water.
Right.
They'll go to any cistern nearby and take water, and that is expressly their right to do so. You cannot stop them from doing it. So that is the reason why that's sort of intentionally vague. I read that and was like,
Right. Yeah.
a conversation needs to
I
take
didn't
place.
know if those comments, I thought they were vague also. I didn't know if it had something like you said, if, let's say this proposed building was on fire in 30 years, 40 years from now, and they ran out of water with a cistern, no matter how big we were proposing, are they gonna let it burn down, or are they gonna use the one next door?
They're gonna use the one next door.
That's my thought. I know that the owner was here that first meeting and with that, and I understood his point.
Yeah,
But it's
but an
something
emergency
that's
is
not,
an emergency.
in somebody's control, and I think
Right.
that's,
And the way Jason looked at it was, well, I got 15 there, I got 15 there, that makes 30, and that's what I wanted.
yeah.
So-
And just for the record, we are proposing a cistern of 15,000, which is
Yep.
the exact same as next door, as we're
Yep.
saying, and that's where that waiver request is
Mhm.
pitching on there.
Yep, you'll
Um,
still have to need a sign-off letter from them. They
Mhm.
want to see the location of the cistern. I think there's 100 feet buffer that the cistern has to be away from the building. They have standards, and I would send that final plan set to them and get if a conditional approval is given this evening, that should be one of the conditions. Yeah, okay.
It is, and there has been some back and forth with the fire department, Jason, about that cistern.
Oh, yeah.
He's seen the renderings of where he put it. I believe that he told Eric to move it slightly away
Probably
from
won't
where his
take
first current,
Probably.
his first placement of it was. Which I'm assuming you're seeing the most recent renderings of where they've discussed that, so
They have
I don't
not,
see that being an issue.
So the abutter
truthfully.
objected to a waiver?
no,
No,
the
no.
Yeah.
butter specifically objected to his water, his cistern being used in the fire suppression calculation for
Exactly.
the adjoining, the building next door. You can make that statement, but it doesn't
I thought it
hold
was.
any
I'm
water.
trying to
Pun
look.
intended.
I don't, it might be on the specific fire rendering plans that he did that. Oh, yeah, it's right there.
This
Yep.
is the first time.
5 or 6.
This is the very
Yep.
first time anybody's seeing this new plan set. Could you send it to me electronically? Do you have it electronically? Please, thank you very much. I should have asked Eric, is it Eric?
Yeah, Eric is the
Yeah.
PE, he,
Mhm.
yeah, I don't,
Yeah, but the
I'll make
fire.
sure you get it. Let's
Thank
just
you,
put it
because
that way.
I'll send it to Jason as well, because he hasn't seen the location of the cistern or anything else. I don't think it was on the original plan set?
They did. I'm not making it up. He definitely had a back and forth with Jason about
Oh, yeah.
about the cistern location itself.
Oh, okay, he did, okay.
He reviewed if you recall, the turnarounds with
Yes,
maneuvering
yes,
fire
about fire,
apparatus
I
around the
saw all
building.
that, about fire
And
trucks
at the
and
same
turn
time,
radiuses,
he
yeah.
questioned.
The cistern as well,
cistern.
okay.
I think that the first renderings had the cistern almost on the building,
Mhm.
like up against it.
Yep.
They didn't like that.
No.
Probably because the building being on fire, and then they're trying to.
Yes.
I don't know why people do what they
Isn't
do,
it
but I
It's supposed
I
to be
know
100
that
feet, I believe.
I'm making the assumption that that's where he wanted it, but final sign off is reasonable.
Yep, fair.
Get it?
Yep, just send him to him electronically so I can
Yeah,
put it in the
of
file.
course.
Thank you very much.
Be able to do it tomorrow.
Written waiver request?
There was one submitted.
There was a one
last
submitted,
meeting, I
yes.
believe, and then it wasn't voted on because you guys wanted to hear from the fire department. I said I spoke with them, but we have correspondence now. So that was the intent.
I can bring that up for you if you want.
Well, I guess we don't really need it, as long, I guess we're gonna reference in the waiver, to address the waiver request, we're going to say that they would have to comply with this letter dated September 16th by the fire department that would contain 15,000 gallons.
Quick question for the current use, is it in compliance currently with?
As far as I know, that there were some compliance issues about the amount of vehicles that were parked there.
Mhm.
And I know that it was much higher, right, than it was supposed to be.
So I'll give the board a bit of an update on that. So I've been out to that site 3 times. The first
There you
time I went out with Jim Mashad, the second time I went out with Chuck, our new building inspector, and the third time I went out with Chuck, our new building inspector. My first visit, they were 13 cars too many on the lot. I told him to remove them, and I come back. Calls me up and says they're gone. I go back again. He's got 3 too many cars on the lot.
Funny.
Go back again. He had them all removed. I had a conversation with him regarding, you got to sell a vehicle to bring one in. He's a good guy, good young guy. His comment to me as I was leaving, I said, "You're good to go. You need to move your handicap parking spot over to the left and then put a sign of no parking to the spot to the right, because if a handicap van pulls in, it's noted right on the plan set of what is handicapped." And he says to me, "Wow, now that this place is all cleaned up, it's so much easier to get around in here." And I said, "Well, yeah, of course it is. Your plan works." So I had him remove the steel bucket that was out front. Went over the whole thing with him from stem to stern. Gave him copies of the site plan, gave him copies of the DOT permit that was filed. So he's in good shape over there for now.
That's good. I only knew to the point of the 2 or 3, and I wasn't filled in to the rest, so.
Yep, Mr. Mastriano was very concerned about it, and he and I are the ones that were contacting each other about site visits and so on. And he was very willing to be compliant and to get his tenant in compliance as well.
Yes.
And they were over there today cutting a tree down.
Yeah, the big one. Yeah.
Mhm.
I'll make a motion that we approve the waiver request in reference to September 16th letter from the fire department stating their concurrence that a 15,000 gallon cistern will, they're approving that volume of water for this particular property.
Second it.
Is it B? Mr. Ramsdale?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Discussion, questions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Any other discussion about conditions or Glenn's comments? It looks like all the TEC comments have been resolved.
All of mine except for photometric plan for lighting, which there is a note on the plan that says they will comply with our zoning ordinance, so providing us that plan with the final plan set.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the hope. That's what I referenced earlier in I just talked to Eric this morning about it. He was waiting on on the guy that was preparing that plan. Something happened with him, but doesn't matter.
You're all set with state DOT now?
That I do not, I would have to ask Eric, but
That should
That's
be a
a
condition.
condition.
that would definitely a condition, just to make me, because I don't know the status 100%.
So Glenn, all these other ones that are bolded, they're all fine? Okay. Does
I-
the note on the plan say, specifically say dark skies?
It says they point downward or something. All building lighting to be directed on-site and shall conform to the Town of Brentwood zoning ordinance and site plan review regulations. So our regulations do say that they have to be dark sky compliant.
And did we already grant the waiver on the HIS mapping?
I don't remember if that's been granted or not.
I thought that we had, but
I remember it came up, but I
Yeah.
don't remember. if
it
we
wouldn't,
voted.
if you did it, it wouldn't be added to it. That would not-
I-
that's-
Do you have two options? I can go back in the minutes and look, or we can just make the motion again and be done with it.
I'll move that we approve the waiver concerning the need for HIS mapping. HIS mapping.
High intensity soils.
Very common.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I did have a conversation with Eric regarding the lighting diagram, and I told him to include it in his final plan set, a hard copy delivered to me when he delivers the Mylar, and I won't record the Mylar without having that.
Okay, well, we can still include that as a condition.
Yeah, oh, yeah, well, I'm just,
And the driveway, DOT permits, anything else?
We're in the process of designing one that could certainly be a condition of approval, receipt of New Hampshire DES state approval of a new septic design as a part of this proposal, yeah? Yep. It would be perfectly amendable to that.
I think you spoke, or TEC spoke about a maintenance plan for the stormwater provisions on the site.
I don't recall what happened with that, to be honest with you.
That's in there.
I would have figured that
But all of his,
TEC's comments were fulfilled, so I'm assuming that he
yeah, he said.
fulfilled TEC's comment.
So does that mean, Glenn, that
I'm just confused about where.
Liz, you're,
I apologize. I'm just a little confused. The pet business and the car business are staying there?
Yeah.
Is the other building that was ice cream for a while and now it's fuel, is that staying there?
That's on a separate lot.
Oh, that's a whole separate
And that's
lot.
that storage units or something now, I believe.
Yeah.
It must have been before you guys for a site plan, and that's.
Okay,
that
so I'm just not
15,000
picturing
is-
where this is. So
Yeah,
if I'm looking at the pet business and
Yeah.
the car, are you,
Car dealership.
yeah, you can almost see that little driveway that is coming off of Mastriano's piece that goes to the storage containers.
okay,
Where the
Okay.
cream store was. And
Gotcha.
now you come in, you go right through these two existing the pet place and the car dealership.
oh, I didn't know there was
To get
that big
to-
back there. Okay, yeah, I just couldn't picture where it is. Okay,
Yeah.
thank
So,
you.
so Glenn, just to help me understand, so a stormwater management and maintenance plan are required.
Yes.
Where do we see any language? Is that a note on the plan set that will be provided? I mean, I'm thinking practically down the road, what happens as we go forward? We talked about this maybe.
Right, we often have it be a plan note.
Well, it says, a best management practices and operations maintenance plan has been provided in Appendix E of the drainage calculations and stormwater management plan included with this submission, which
So
we
that
don't
language
have,
Should
but
be incorporated on the plan set.
make that.
Yeah, that could be note number 17.
Yeah. It should be.
Okay, so for conditions, we have driveway permit.
Yep.
DES. Lighting plan.
Mhm.
Operations and management plan note.
Yep.
So DES. Anything else?
Give me that operation maintenance plan. on
A
the-
note.
Right under the waiver request tonight state that they were both granted.
Absolutely.
Any other discussion, questions?
A sign-off letter from Glenn and a sign-off letter from E TEC. And a sign-off letter from the Brentwood Fire Department. You want me to list them all off at once, so?
Yeah, so I'll make a motion for approval with the conditions that Mark is about to, can I do that? Okay,
Here it comes, yeah.
Second.
we'll let Mark read the conditions back.
A sign-off letter from the Brentwood Fire Department, the lighting plan, DOT permit, I'm gonna put driveway in there. A New Hampshire DES septic approval plan, a sign-off letter from Glenn, operation and maintenance plan in notes, sign-off letter from TEC.
So moved.
Anything I'm missing, Glenn?
Second.
No, Mr. Finnan already seconded.
Oh, I'm sorry, didn't,
I know it's kind of late, but do we have landscaping buffers on here?
let's set back.
They have spatial separation, not landscaping. Up there.
Your microphone.
Set way back.
I'm just thinking of the other thing that we were looking at recently where we, the vegetative, that's the word I'm looking for, vegetative buffer.
And that was because that is bounded by residential use as
Residential.
opposed to other commercial use.
All right. Any other questions or discussion before we vote on conditional approval? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? All right.
No, very thorough.
Thank
Well
you.
done.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'll just stick around for a minute for the continue.
Yes.
You want me to speak on that briefly?
Let me just, for the record, say we are now talking about the continued site plan review for 1 Smith Road.
The main reason for the continuance is the, basically hiring a PE, because we spoke about doing a lot of drainage calcs, like possibly riprap on both sides, if you recall, on that site visit that we had a few weeks ago. And I believe Mark has a letter from Beals Associates that they have a retainer, and they are going to work on the plan. They knew that they couldn't get it done for tonight because they were just under contract. I'm not sure what day that was, but the other reason I was kind of coordinating this job, and on a personal level, I was on a honeymoon for the last 10 days, and my office doesn't work that well without me. Not a brag, it's just the truth. And trying to coordinate stuff like that is not the best. So it's a bit on me. It's not trying to hesitate at the town's. I understand the importance of the site plan, and you can see that we're actively working on it. And that's the reason for the continuance.
You should have postponed the wedding and
Yeah.
taken care of this for.
Yeah.
What is the timetable?
When was the next meeting
16.
that's available?
2 weeks.
Be the October,
I'm fairly confident I can have all the stuff that was wanted on my plan set done by then. I can't speak to Beals Associates after just being contracted to do it earlier this week. I'd like to continue to that date, and if we can make it happen, great, and if we can't, I will issue a continuance letter, or I'll show up in person.
What I might do, if the board is okay with it, is call Beals and say, do you have a time frame?
Yeah, that's fine.
I know you guys are,
Do you know what's
Patient.
going on there right now in terms of operations?
I have no idea. I have no
Do you
idea.
know if the
Haven't
owner
moved
passed
anything.
along some of the messages from the site walk about?
I'm almost certain of it, yes.
Haven't
Whether
seen
or not he
anything
did-
For whatever that's worth.
What's that?
I haven't seen anything for
No,
whatever that's worth.
nothing's.
I feel like some of that's been translated, but everything we talked about, I doubt that he remembered or relayed all of it. I'm hoping
But
most of it.
the main
but-
messages? Are you saying you haven't seen any change, or you haven't seen any activity?
Yeah, activity
Nothing.
or change, yeah.
They've got a big culvert rolled right across the opening.
it's there most of the time. I mean, I drive by quite frequently. Sometimes I see some activity, but I would have to say, most of the time I don't. Most of the time I don't. That big pipe is across the thing and I don't see anybody. If I had to give it a percentage, I would say maybe 2 out of 10 times.
But we are working on it, and I was here for Mastriano Group, so I figured I'd just stay instead of writing a letter. I feel like I gave a more detailed explanation that way anyway.
Paul, how are you feeling about things, where things are?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not offended, you know, as I said, driving by, it's fairly innocuous. I haven't seen any real change. Yeah,
Right.
so you know,
Okay.
unless, you know, someone were to, you know,
Put up a big banner?
yeah. Or someone were to come to me and say, oh, you know, this is going on when, you know, at hours when I may not be around or looking. I haven't heard anything along those lines, so.
I'm just wondering whether you should wait until the first meeting in November, because I don't really want to continue it again. I'd like to get all this stuff, like, it just.
We'll
You-
be
I
you
mean,
here.
that's
think it's
fine
pretty
with
good?
us too. I'm
Yeah.
just, I know that the speed in which this has been doing since I took on the job was something that wanted to get done
I
fast.
think
Yeah.
we ought to keep
So-
on the,
I think
So
it's
I
good
was
for
just-
Okay.
accountability.
I was just thinking in good faith, maybe we'd be on the next meeting, and
Okay.
if Beals can pull it off,
Yeah.
you know, he'll let me know, and if not, then I will
Okay,
send a continuance letter as soon as I know that he can.
I'll make a motion to continue the hearing on tax map 216-035000 to October 16 at 7 PM.
second,
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Me.
Yeah, you've been
Okay.
extremely patient and that could run out, but you're being extremely patient.
Thank you.
thank you.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I hope you had fun. Where'd you go?
Greece.
Oh,
Oh,
fun.
We went to a few islands and then Athens. It was very
Awesome.
good. 10 days. It was very nice. Got back late Saturday, and I think I'm finally equaled out on my sleep. It's a 7-hour time difference.
Yeah,
Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you.
thank you. Have a good night.
Okay, budget. So I dropped the ball on this. I said I would go in the spreadsheet and try to rejigger things a little bit. I will do that to get it back to 4% within the spirit of what we discussed before. And then we have a meeting with the select board on Tuesday. So we'll present this and see what they say. But it's really just moving a couple $100 around, I think, to make it work.
Just an FYI, at the select board meeting, they voted for level funding on all departments.
Correct.
As a goal, not as a binding matter, but certainly as a goal.
Like across the board or individually?
Individually.
Because some
for
things
all
could
the
go down.
budgets. Yeah.
I think Letty's
just
was
have
across the
s-
board, though. She
we-
wanted
yeah.
level fund the operating budget.
We just have
Right.
so little to work with.
Well, and I think that's what you should say.
Yeah.
I think that's what you should say
I mean, there's just no
when you
place.
present it. And, you know,
to take
you're
it
talking
out.
about a smaller dollar amount. But you should be there because there were questions regarding the Conservation Commission budget.
It's like $15,000.
What's that?
It's like $15,000, isn't it?
It's in that neighborhood.
Okay, and, you know, and I think I expressed this before, my concern with that too is that in 5 years, if we've kept a line level funded, then we're gonna have a big jump. And that's gonna be painful and hard to explain. So, okay.
Do you know when you're gonna make those changes? Because I need to submit this. I don't want to just surprise it on them the day of the meeting. I'd like to.
Oh, I
have
thought you already sent us a version.
Well, I did send the original version,
Okay,
but what we didn't know was the cost of Rockingham Planning Commission
Right.
dues,
Went up.
yeah.
which that you had, you know, I didn't even send in the changes we made at the last meeting because we didn't know that figure. Now you know that figure. Now you know what you know, what's going to
Yeah.
be submitted. So
Yeah.
I wasn't going to submit something that the board hasn't seen and the board hasn't voted on.
Yeah,
I looked at this pretty close today, and the only question I had for Mark was on the overtime. Do we have to have overtime? Is it necessary?
And I'll be very clear about this, like, if I'm not being paid, I won't be here. So if I have to get up in the middle of a meeting and walk out, then don't be surprised that that happens, so.
So,
And not to be adversarial or anything, but can you adjust your schedule?
I'm not, my office hours are my office hours. I can't foresee how long we're going to be here this evening, right? I can't foresee that. So if you don't want me to work,
no.
that's just a game I'm not
Yeah,
willing to
yeah.
play.
We're just having a conversation.
I'm just not willing to play it.
But can you do comp, I think what he's saying is, could you do comp time? So like if you're.
Typically, what ends up happening is if we don't have a busy week, I work 4 9-hour shifts, so that's 36 hours, right? So
Right.
I can come in early or I can come in late, and sometimes I may choose to do that, but sometimes I just take the 36. So the next week, when I have a busy week, yeah, you may be paying me some overtime money, but that may, you know, I mean, the loss of those 4 hours, right? I didn't get paid for them, so I'm not really taking that out of my pay line. Maybe taking a little bit extra the next week. So I think if you sat down and looked at it all and really weighed it out in the grand scheme, I don't think it's a lot. And I don't think as an employee, I'm
I'm not
asking a lot.
saying it is or isn't. I'm just asking. the
No, you're
question.
fine, and I don't have a problem justifying this. As an employee, I don't think I'm asking a lot either. I'm saying, if I'm here, pay me,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah.
right? And I don't think that's and the big thing this year was office hours, because what was happening before was like, people were like, oh, I'll just make it up later, and then they were leaving, and then you have residents coming in going, hey, I have this for Mark, or whoever, is he in his office today? Well, his office hours says he's supposed to be here today, where is he? And he's off wherever. So that was very intentional right from the get-go, that if you have office hours, then you should be in the building.
Mhm.
Not remote, not here, not there, but in your office, in the building, doing your job.
So on printing and books, you went from 200 to 400. What if you kept that at 2? Could you do that?
Exactly 225, because that's what we spent on books.
Okay.
So I'm just saying, if
Yep, nope.
I wanted to
Yep.
print extra books like I did those zoning before, which I found extremely helpful to board members, and that's where that money would come from. Could we balance that out and say, okay, we're not going to buy I think it was a very important year to get new zoning books, because we
agree.
had all those zoning changes, so I felt that that's super important, that you have correct information in your hand.
Well, we all voted for that.
Yeah.
That's right. No, I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm just
So maybe
going
if it's
based on what we're
220 or
hearing.
whatever, can you make it
250?
250? Yeah.
No, this is exactly what they are going to do. So
So
we
here,
need to.
Yeah.
here's what I'm thinking. Because I thought, and I may be misremembering, but I thought we did lower the overtime a bit more than that.
I thought that too. No,
So
I'm just remembering.
I'll bring that down to like, however this works out, 1,250 or 1,500. I'll need to adjust the FICA and the retirement, because that'll change that a little bit. Drop the printing and books to 250, which should really offset the Rockingham planning.
Yeah, 'cause that
Um,
was only 200.
Oh my goodness.
But
Move
I'm
my-
still,
Move my increase from 2.5 to 2, and then you have $700 to play with. in your-
okay.
your
Mm.
free and clear.
Well,
You
Right.
don't have to worry.
But
about-
No.
you know, I'm not, here's my philosophy. Things get more expensive, like the Rockingham Planning Commission.
Yeah, that-
There are expenses. We have $100,000. We have very few expenses. We try to be extremely responsible. I think what we have to say in the overtime is, if the situation comes to it, we all have to be willing to take notes some night if Mark's not going to be here because he's
Yeah.
hit his hours. So, I'm comfortable.
Microphone,
I-
please, sir.
I'm talking once or twice a year, like
Even
not-
once or twice a year, for him not to be in the loop.
Yeah, I think. he's-
Absolutely.
It works against us down the line.
Yeah.
And
Good
it's
point.
just, my God.
I'd agree with that.
Just take $900 out of mine,
No,
and you're
No,
going to
no.
have
But-
going to have a budget that is not going to cause the budget committee any concern.
Well,
well,
here, what I was going to say is, I am comfortable going in front of the select board and asking for, a little bit more, not level funded, because things go up. And if we wait, like I said, 5 years, so there's some change. I'm not going to be specific, but something might cost a lot more, and then we're in a bind because we have
and
to
that's
pay.
exactly my point.
I-
With
they're
the
not gonna
idea that,
balk if it's
oh,
under 4%.
no,
increase, yeah.
my point
Well, it
is
sounds like
that
they
going
said-
through this, and we're now addressing it as a board, and we know where the value is on each one of these. Would I change anything? Absolutely not. Would I go in with what we have currently? Absolutely. That's where we need to be. Again, the big one is that Rockingham Planning Commission dues that went up. It seemed pretty unanimous that we all agreed there was a value to that and an importance.
Yeah,
As
can
long
you
as-
explain that to me a little bit more? Because I know you're on it and you're on it and Steph's on it.
Yeah, I will, but
Yeah.
right now I'm discussing the money aspect. So as long as we're in a position to defend each one of these items, there's not anything here you can really cut. And there's a value with grants and
Yep,
getting
yep.
all sorts of reports and
And you're
Okay,
not-
so I'll
you're not
revise my,
cutting mine. It's a
No.
2.5% increase. We're just saying a 2% increase.
okay, so I'll revise my statement. I will leave overtime alone, cut printing and books down to 250, and
don't,
that's it.
that's it.
Alright.
And
Well, and
let-
you can
let-
justify because they,
let the board decide.
I agree with that, yeah.
I think it's important that every one of you advocate for your budget. I would
And
suggest.
Mark made a good suggestion the other night, or day when we were talking. Everybody, if we're presenting the budget next week, let's all of us be there if we
I'll
can.
be there, yeah.
Good point.
If it's-
I
it's
think
your-
that's a really important thing.
Oh, I do
and
too.
let me ask this too. The wages, I know that it looks like a big thing, but that was because we miscalculated this year, right?
Some of it was miscalculation
6.6?
on the,
in
on the-
2025.
No, healthcare's
no.
not in these.
so the FICA and the retirement percentages are a little bit higher and a little bit different because the calculation did not base that, they didn't include overtime. So
No, I'm
it
just
was-
talking about number one, wages. I'm going
That
to say, why is there a
looks-
6.6% increase?
Because the beginning of the year was one rate, and then there was a planned, I don't remember, how long have you been here? Been over a year?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, okay. So there were different
Yes?
rates,
It's been a ride.
There was like a sort of temporary rate.
Okay.
I can't think of the word.
I can bring that document up if you
That's
want.
okay. There were different rates that changed during the year. So
Have it available for the meeting.
I calculated.
Yeah, have it, that's what I'm saying. They're gonna look at that right off the bat.
I'll have it for the meeting.
Yeah.
So they voted for it.
I know, but they're gonna say,
It's-
why is it 6.6?
We approved it.
3%.
They
I know.
approved it. It's just math.
Yeah,
This 2026 is based on the final rate for the year, and the rate was different earlier in the year, so it was less last year.
okay.
But it is not a 6% increase. Like,
I don't know if it's necessary, but I'll make a motion to allow Kristen to make that, the change to printing.
And you're gonna leave overtime at 2,000, or you're gonna do it 1250 or 15?
Staying at 2,000.
So is this gonna end up at this 4.8 or something approximate?
around a little over 4, probably.
It's going to drop a little.
But I think practically, Paul, all departments, I mean, it's a great thing to have that as a goal level funded, but other departments are faced with the same cost of living increases or cost of,
Yeah, it doesn't
Products.
seem mathematically possible
Yeah.
to.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What was the-
250.
250.
And don't get me wrong, I think it's a great idea, what they're doing, because they're confronted with a 4% cap.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
in doing this, we're all learning something. And, you know, if you're tight and then you're compassionate and you need to address the board that way, they may look at something else
Sure.
and say, okay, let's
I mean,
make
it's
this.
mathematically possible.
But I would
We can
also.
make the math work.
if-
Well,
You may
if-
not like it.
Glenn,
Well,
if-
mathematically, not mathematically possible, is practical is more what I was getting at, yeah.
Yeah, and I would argue that our department is incredibly frugal, and it's a pretty tight ship. We don't have,
You got a
But I
bunch of
wouldn't
Yankees here.
look a gift horse in the hat. You know, like he keeps saying, take off that little bed. I mean, why not? Like, thank you. I think you're, what's it called? You know, like the MasterCard. He's priceless, but if he's gonna give that, you know, he
well, I
doesn't
just,
mind.
in 5 years, y'all are gonna
Simply
come to the select
because he
board with
wants
me when
to.
we have to do a much larger increase
right.
and explain that to people.
Yeah. Just because he wants you to doesn't mean that you should.
Okay,
Really.
it's okay.
I
Do
mean,
you wanna like do a little extra work or something?
Or
I just don't want to spend this much
time
time
on
on
this
On
little thing.
$200?
Yeah.
On $212.
Yeah.
well, you have to. We have to. That's part of our job.
You wouldn't if you took off that.
I think
That
as
half
Doug,
percent.
as Doug said.
Yeah,
the
that's
big-
what I'm saying.
The
If
big
you-
issue is gonna
Thank
be
you.
the dues, and, you know, you're just gonna need to speak to those.
Yeah.
We have no control over those, too.
No, I understand, but you're gonna have to
But there's a
justify.
value to it.
You're gonna have to justify it. Is it worth
You're gonna have to
having
justify
3 more
the
meetings
dues.
on his, and then, I mean, if you're gonna go with what you're gonna propose, that's
Yeah.
fine, I'll just
The
vote
the
against it. I'm
dues
not
may
for this at all.
eventually self-correct a little bit because it is based on population. And if it seems like other towns are going faster than us.
Rockingham, you mean? Is that what you're talking about,
In
the
the,
dues?
in the region, yeah, I mean, just look at how many people
So
exited.
Paul, the
That
tax-
seems like, I'm
the
sorry, I
tax
wasn't here for
cap,
the meeting
the
where you
tax
discussed it,
increase
so I
is
need-
limited to 4% per year.
And
But the other side of the equation is we've got a lot of new residential construction that's coming online that will be taxed this year. So it's not just, I mean, we don't want to say that we want to go more than 4%, but the revenues are the other side of the equation that we don't know yet. But we do know that there are many more new homes coming onto our valuation.
Well, I think,
I mean, we're not
I think
looking at the revenue, so we're just looking at, and look,
Right.
I've said this
Versus
before.
acknowledging that.
Yeah, because it's not
Right.
like private business where I look at revenues and expenses. That was the first thing that kind of blew my mind. I mean, we're just looking at expenses and how you contain those expenses, and that's going to
Correct.
be the appropriation for purposes of taxing. So, you know,
but I think, Glenn's point was a good one about it's important Mark's here. We don't want to be penny wise and pound
Yeah, no,
foolish.
that-
You
needs to
absolutely,
Because
you
we're-
absolutely don't.
We're the ones who are looking at these developments that do add more to the tax base.
I made a motion to
Drop the printing line
drop
to
the print
250. Yeah, I got it.
To 250.
Is there any other changes to the budget?
second,
I'll clean it up and just make sure all the
I mean,
calculations are right.
okay, do you know when you can do that? Or send me an email when
This
you do-
weekend?
Okay, fair. If it's there Monday morning, I'd be
Okay,
completely.
by Monday morning.
Oh, thank
it.
you so much.
Okay.
And I will give that to the appropriate departments.
You know what I'm doing this week? No, I'm just kidding. Okay. Do we have a second?
Yep, finished. Yep, done.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Me.
All right.
I'm just going to abstain. 'cause I'm
Abstention.
going to be voting on this budget.
Fair enough.
Next
And
week.
Liz, on the RPC, either Doug or I will let you know when the next meeting is.
I'm not interested in going at all.
Well,
I'm
I
just-
think it will give you a defined definition of what it does and how it works. And it's only a suggestion. You don't
Yep.
have to go to every meeting, but
I
it-
missed I didn't stay for the meeting then.
Did you vote nay?
I voted
Yes, you
nay,
did.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yep.
only
But
a
thank you,
suggestion.
yeah. Well, you can let us know when the meeting's
Is your
up.
nay to changing the book line or just to the budget?
I would change the overtime line, I would change Glenn's thing, and I would change the printing books thing.
Gotcha. All right. Is that, no?
No, I think there are minutes to do.
Yes.
No, but we have something happy in your packet.
Oh, good.
I'll make a motion to approve the September 24th work session minutes.
Second that.
Any changes? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions?
Oh, Paul, just noticed in the middle of this, the number centered around 6 per upland acre with a bonus of 2 units of affordable housing. That's right. Last page, right in the middle.
All right.
It's been beaten into me.
Thank you notes. You got cookies and a thank you.
No,
What
who's
is that for?
Yeah, who's that from?
Yeah.
What,
I included it in your packet.
Yeah, who's this from?
Yeah.
Who's
It
this?
says at the bottom.
yeah, but what's
Connor,
it
read it.
about?
Why?
doesn't-
It
you
speaks
don't get the
to Mark's
the context of it.
positive,
It's something
Interactions with the
positive
public.
that a resident felt that Glenn and I did a really good job
Of-
for him, and he was thankful that we did that.
What did you do?
A young man came into my office, and he lives over in the condos, and he said, "Hey, I'm thinking about buying this piece of property in Brentwood. I don't know, when I took a look at it at GIS, and I said, well, get in my truck. We're gonna go look at it." So I drove out there, and we walked the property, and he said, "What are the challenges that you see?" And I said, "Well, it's got bad slopes in it. That's gonna be a real big challenge to you." And he accepted that.
So he's building a brand new house on Deer Hill Road.
Very nice kid, very young guy with a nice family,
Yeah.
Who lives in Brentwood.
who lives in
And he wants
Brentwood.
To
Gets
go
to
from
stay
that.
in Brentwood.
He
So he's moving
explored
from
the
Winter
property
Meadows.
more, he got a
Great,
hold of the
okay.
deed,
Yeah,
the
that's
deed.
great, that's great. I
the
just wanted
de-
to know what it was. Yeah.
The deed had a slope easement on it, and he comes back and he says, "It has a slope easement, I don't understand what that is." Glenn
Great.
took a look at it, Glenn said, "Hey, all easements have to have language, this has no language to the slope easement. It's
Good
probably
job.
because of the slope on the grade, so you can put the driveway at a hook closer than 10 feet to the property line." He's very appreciative that the things that we did for him.
No, that's great. I
His
just
wife
wanted-
made us some cookies, and he sent us a note, and I wanted to share that note with you.
No, thank you. I just
Yeah,
didn't know where.
Yeah,
I had one of the cookies, it was very good.
and,
Very good.
and,
I didn't
and,
get it.
I didn't-
Nobody
And-
got poisoned.
and,
Yeah.
and thank you, Mark and Glenn. I think, it's just a great testament.
Hence why you should get your full 3.5%.
He just doesn't.
Two and a
So when we.
Some-
have to
Alright.
bring this back-
Sometimes in the plan,
we're losing the plot here. Any other business?
Motion to adjourn. Second, somebody?
All in favor?
Sec-
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Please
Who's
turn
the-
off your
who's the second?
microphones.
Nobody. Okay.